Chapter 124. A whoa! The roars of many beasts fell into his ears, and then Su-yi completely lost consciousness. The shocking battle had ended, and the terrifying commotion had already subsided. The surrounding hundreds of feet was a mess, and the center was destroyed into a flat ground, leaving behind a shocking scene. It's Heijio of the Black Fiend sect. He seems to have escaped. There are also many savage beasts with extraordinary auras. I heard that the Black Fiend sect found the young man who killed the young master of the Black Fiend sect and fought here. It looks like a battle between experts. Could that young man have reached such a level? Many figures appeared in the surroundings. All of them had been attracted by the shocking commotion. The commotion went straight to the sky, attracting the attention of all the creatures in the vicinity. Some mercenary groups and adventurer teams, as well as the passing rogue cultivators, all rushed over at the first moment. In a daze, when Su-yi's mind regained consciousness, he suddenly felt an aura that still made his mind tremble. Around him was a void of nothingness, vast and boundless. In the void, Su-yi felt his mind shuttling back and forth, and there were bursts of wind and thunder all around, as if it came from the ancient times. Suddenly, in front of the void, a terrifying beast shadow appeared. Its voice was like thunder, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, as if it could shake the ancient times. In front of him, there were more and more such terrifying beast shadows, each with eyes as blazing as the sun, and some as bright as the moon. Their roars were like thunder, sonorous and ear-splitting. First wave. Some of the beasts were like dragons, some were like phoenixes, some were monstrous, and some covered the sky with their wings. These terrifying beast shadows emitted a bright light, but then they were annihilated in the void again, like fireworks being extinguished after the brilliance. But under that terrifying aura, Su-yi's mind was numb and throbbing incomparably. In front of him, there were constantly those ancient beast shadows alternating between light and dark, their roars sonorous like thunder. How shocking! If any of these ancient beast shadows really existed, it would be enough to shock the world. Roar! A flood dragon roared. It was unknown how large it was. Half of its body was submerged in the void, and the other half was exposed. Its aura was violent, and its terrifying aura seemed to want to crush Su-yi's mind. The cry pierced through the clouds and cracked open stones. A vicious bird spread its wings and covered the heavens. Its wings directly tore apart the skies, making the heavens collapse and the earth split apart. How shocking was this! Roar! A gigantic tiger roared, the sound waves towering up into the sky. With a stomp of its foot, an ancient mountain was crushed. It glared at Su-yi like a tiger glaring at its prey. It seemed to have sensed Su-yi's will and was staring at him, causing Su-yi's heart to sink. Su-yi was shocked. These beast-shaped phantoms were too powerful. Could it be that these terrifying beasts really existed in this world? Or did they only exist in the endless ancient times, and were long buried at the end of the immemorial era? If these great beasts really existed in the archaic era, what kind of era would that be? It would simply be a place where heroes contended for supremacy. At that time, humans probably wouldn't be able to contend against them at all. In this vast void, Su-yi didn't know how many phantoms he had seen. That kind of terrifying pressure was too terrifying. Finally, the phantoms of the great beasts began to disappear completely, and the surrounding aura began to burn. In a daze, Su-yi felt something surging into his body, and there was also some information that fell into his soul. Then, Su-yi discovered that his surroundings were blazing flames. The blazing aura was monstrous, as though it wanted to burn his soul. However, this blazing aura seemed to have a sense of intimacy. In the heat, it also brought an incomparably comfortable feeling to Su-yi's soul. Walala! The blazing flames whistled and fluctuated like ripples, bringing with them a domineering and majestic aura. This aura seemed to be able to suppress the immemorial era and look down on the world. Imperceptibly, Su-yi felt something flowing into his body, surging into his organs, bones, and muscles. Most importantly, this blazing aura seemed to have fused with his mind and soul. Vaguely, Sui could feel that this power came from the mysterious ball of light. It was the powerful aura that was used to deal with the Black Fiend sect's protector, Heijio. At this moment, there was still a lot of this aura remaining in Sui's body, and it began to fuse with Sui. In the spacious cave, Sui subconsciously sat down cross-legged and formed hand seals. His entire body was shrouded in a dazzling light, as if he was wrapped in scarlet flames. The light intertwined and blazed like the sun. Buzz, around Sui, the space trembled, and a divine radiance spread out from his body, emitting waves of fluctuations. It was as if a mysterious power had passed through time and space and descended from the immemorial era. At this moment, Sui's bloody and tragic body was visible to the naked eye. A mysterious power surged and began to slowly recover. As time slowly passed, Sui's body became more and more sparkling. His entire body was covered in divine radiance, and not even a scar was left behind. Everything was still going on. The light on Sui's body became more and more dazzling, and gradually, there were bursts of thunder. There was a mysterious power constantly attacking his body. Sitting cross-legged, Sui was motionless. His body was glowing, and the mysterious power in his body was fusing into his body, emitting divine light. At this moment, Sui was completely immersed in a strange state. It was as if he was isolated from the outside world, and only the radiance on his body was dazzling. At this moment, Sui's aura was gradually rising, and gradually reached a peak. Bang! Immediately, in Sui's dantian, there was a muffled sound, and a new aura suddenly spread out. In the courtyard of the small town. In the hall, Fujio, who was in a miserable and sorry state, hung his head dejectedly as he stood with his head lowered, and his countenance was ghastly pale. Even though he'd changed into a new robe, it was unable to conceal his miserable and sorry state. The several Yuan spirit stage practitioners behind Heijio were deathly pale, and did not even dare to breathe loudly. Trash, go and find him, immediately! At the top of the hall, an old man who looked to be in his 60s coldly stared at Bojio. His large black robes covered his shriveled body, while his complexion was slightly pale, as if he had just recovered from a serious illness. His eyes were sunken deep into his eye sockets, causing anyone who looked at him to tremble for no reason. If Sui was here at this moment, he would definitely be able to recognize that this old man was Elder Bai, who had followed the young master of the Black Fiend sect. Hugh, sitting cross-legged, Sui withdrew his hand seals, and as he spat out a mouthful of turbid air, he opened his eyes. There was a flicker of light in his eyes, a scarlet red like lightning, bright and dazzling, and then restrained. Golden python, fire-eyed barbaric tiger, scarlet fire demon marten, white jade mystic bird, silver spirit demonic butterfly, hell rat. Chapter 125. Sui still remembered that when he was fighting with the Black Fiend sect, the golden python appeared first, followed by the fire gold tiger and the others. Seeing that Sui was awake, the fire gold tiger and the others smiled and growled in a low voice, looking very happy. Hiss! 2 little golden snakes appeared out of nowhere and crawled onto Sui's arm, intimately rubbing against Sui's face. "Sir, I missed you." "Sir, I missed you too." A young voice entered Sui's ears. "It's you guys." Sui held the 2 little golden snakes in his palm and found that they were a little bigger than before, and their eyes were more lively. "Damn, something's wrong." Suddenly, Sui's eyes widened, and his hair stood on end. He stared at the 2 golden snakes in his palm and asked in astonishment, "Are you guys talking to me?" Hiss! The 2 little golden snakes flicked their tongues, making a shuttling sound. "Sir, it's us talking." "Sir, what's wrong?" When Sui heard these voices, the 2 little golden snakes raised their heads and looked curiously at Sui with their lively eyes. "Awoo! Squeak! F! Genuine, initial V hair, sir, are you all right? Sir, have you recovered? The chaotic roars of the beasts fell into Su Yi's ears, but they sounded like the voices of humans. Damn, it's you guys talking. Su Yi felt his hair stand on end. He looked at the fire-gold tiger and the golden python beside him. They were clearly the ones talking. No, it's not them talking. I can understand them. It seems like I can understand the beast's language. Su Yi was stunned and his eyes trembled. At this moment, it wasn't the beasts who could speak. Only the beasts who reached the ethereal stage could speak human language. It was clear that he could understand the beast's language. Sir, what's wrong? Looking at Su Yi's appearance, the golden python, the fire-gold tiger, and the netherworld rodent were all surprised and looked curiously at Su Yi. Sir, you can understand us? Then, the golden python and the others were also very surprised that Su Yi could understand their beast language. You guys brought me here? Su Yi took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. He stared at the 6 savage beasts in front of him and asked. His gaze was also fixed on them. Yes, Milord fainted, so we brought Milord here. The fire-eyed barbaric tiger nodded and looked at Su Yi curiously. In its eyes, there was a sense of respect that came from the depths of its soul. F***ck, I can really understand the beast's language now. At this moment, Su Yi was sure that he could understand the beast's language. Su Yi pondered. Not long ago, he didn't have the ability to do so. Now that he thought about it, it was only recently. Could it be all of a sudden Su Yi thought of some clues? Before he fainted, he seemed to have experienced a boundless void where countless gigantic beasts appeared, their auras suppressing the supreme ancient immortal realms. Then, the Origin Supreme technique automatically refined the remnant energy in his body, and a piece of information flowed into his mind. It seemed that because the information and the aura merged with him, he was able to understand the beast's language. 8th level Soul Essence Realm. As he sensed the aura within his body, the corners of Su Yi's mouth curled into a slight smile. His cultivation had actually reached the 8th level of the Essence Soul stage. It seemed that he had obtained some benefits after refining the remnant aura. Especially in terms of his soul, Su Yi could feel that the soul in his mind had become many times stronger and more solid than before. The soul strength that was originally filled with light in his mind seemed to be dyed with a faint layer of scarlet red, and it seemed to be different. The changes in his soul made Su Yi feel that there was something extremely special about it, and it seemed to have some use in the future. However, Su Yi couldn't say what it was now. He could only feel that the changes in his soul seemed to be beneficial to him. Immediately, Su Yi's mind turned solemn as he recalled the situation not long ago. This time, he had almost met with disaster. This time, Su Yi knew very well that it was all because of the mysterious power within the mysterious ball of light that he was able to escape unscathed. That energy was terrifyingly powerful, and when it surged out, it almost caused his body to explode. Su Yi felt that the mysterious ball of light was unfathomable. It contained too many mysteries, and it was actually able to explode with such a huge amount of energy. It allowed him, who was at the 7th level of Soul Essence Realm, to resist an Origin Void stage expert. How powerful was that? Precious treasure, Su Yi was secretly delighted. It seemed that the mysterious ball of light was truly a precious treasure among precious treasures. Afterwards, Su Yi looked around and realized that he was currently in a spacious cave. Beside him were his 1,000-pound broken sword and large saber. When the 6 savage beasts brought him here, they must have brought along one of his weapons. Where is this place? Su Yi asked the 6 savage beasts. My lord, the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon is not far ahead. The golden python spoke, and the beast language that came out from its throat could be clearly understood by Su Yi. Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon. Hearing that, Su Yi's eyes moved. According to Bai Ling, the blood jasper spirit ginseng seemed to have appeared in the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon. At this moment, the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon should be filled with experts from all over, and many people had their eyes on the blood jasper spirit ginseng. As for the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon, Sue was very clear about it. From east to west, after passing through the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon, one would arrive at the center of the Barbaric Demon Forest. If one entered from the south, after passing through the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon, one would arrive at the Barbaric Demon Forest. It was rumored that there were many powerful savage beasts inside. It was said that even a force like the Black Fiend sect didn't dare to enter the Barbaric Demon Forest. However, there were still many savage beasts gathered in the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon, and there were many powerful savage beasts among them. Normally, there weren't many people who dared to casually enter the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon, and there was even less people who dared to casually enter the Barbaric Demon Forest. Afterwards, from the 6 savage beasts' beast language, Sue found out that the fire-eyed savage tiger, golden python and the others were planning to enter the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon. Along the way, they coincidentally sensed his aura, so they came looking for him. They never thought that they would encounter him in danger. Chapter 126. Y9's update is the fastest PMO? The inheritance we received is closely related to Lord. We can sense Master's aura within a certain distance. If Master is in danger, we can also sense it within a certain distance. The distance seems to be related to our cultivation, the white jade mystic bird replied to Sue. Inheritance. Sue was puzzled. We all received the inheritance in Lord's space, the silver spirit said. The silver spirit butterfly flapped its white jade-like wings and gently landed on the fiery-eyed barbaric tiger's back. The inheritance is very powerful. That's why we were able to break through so quickly. The scarlet fire devil mink said with satisfaction. In such a short period of time, each of them had made astonishing progress. Sue looked at the 6 beasts before him. The golden python's aura seemed to have reached the 4th level of the demon spirit realm. The fiery-eyed barbaric tiger and the rest were all at the 3rd level of the demon spirit realm. How long has it been since they separated? The golden python had just broken through to the 1st level of the demon spirit realm. Sue couldn't help but be shocked. Back then, in the mysterious space, Sue was puzzled. After the fiery-eyed barbaric ape and the fiery barbaric bird entered, the commotion in the mysterious space was obviously different from when the golden python and the rest entered. Now, after listening to the fiery-eyed barbaric tiger, the scarlet fire devil mink, and the rest, Sue realized that the fiery-eyed barbaric tiger, the golden python and the rest had received a powerful inheritance. That inheritance seemed to be related to him, which was why the 6 beasts listened to him. Where's the fiery-eyed barbaric bird and the snow ape? Thinking of the fiery-eyed barbaric bird and the snow jade barbaric ape, Sue suddenly remembered that he hadn't seen them yet. Not long ago, those 2 beasts were heavily injured. Lord, they're heavily injured. They're currently recuperating outside, the golden python replied. Hearing the golden python's words, Sue felt relieved. The fiery-eyed barbaric bird and the snow jade barbaric ape had been with him for a long time. They were heavily injured because of him. This made Sue feel emotional. It seemed that because he cultivated the primordial origin supreme technique, there was some kind of invisible influence. Or perhaps it was because Sue didn't have much of an aversion towards savage beasts. Sue felt safer and more comfortable when he was with these savage beasts than when he was with humans. Why are you going to the Grand Barbarian Demon Canyon? Sue was curious. He didn't know why these savage beasts would want to go to the Grand Barbarian Demon Canyon. Our true goal is the Barbarian Demon Forest. Only there can we grow faster. However, with our current cultivation base, we can only stay in the Barbarian Demon Grand Canyon, said the Barbarian Tiger. The inheritance we obtained told us that only by tempering ourselves can we improve faster. Therefore, we have to go to the Barbarian Demon Grand Canyon. Only there can we become stronger faster, said the Netherworld Rat. Sir, why don't you come with us to the Great Barbarian Demon Canyon? My brother and I have also obtained the inheritance. We also want to temper ourselves and become powerful barbarian demon beasts as soon as possible. The little golden snake on the left looked expectantly at Su-Yi and intimately rubbed itself against Su-Yi's palm. You too also obtained the inheritance. Su-Yi was startled as he looked at the two little golden snakes. Back then, these two little golden snakes' eggshells were also covered in a mysterious radiance. It turned out that these two little fellows had also obtained an inheritance. Go to the Barbarian Demon Canyon with you. Su-Yi raised his eyebrows. That small adventurer team was no longer a concern, but now the Black Fiend sect had their eyes on him. This time, he was lucky enough to scare away Protector Heijio. However, he probably wouldn't be so lucky next time. Su-Yi reckoned that the Black Fiend sect's people should be looking for him all over the world. They must have dispatched many experts, and might even have set up many hidden sentries outside the barbarian demon forest. The more dangerous a place is, the safer it is. I'll do the opposite. Suddenly, Su-Yi's eyes flickered as he pondered. He made a decision in his heart. In any case, the Barbarian Demon Canyon was right in front of him. He might as well go to the Barbarian Demon Canyon and temper himself. There were savage beasts everywhere in the Barbarian Demon Canyon. This seemed to be more advantageous for him. Black Fiend sect, you've angered me. If you have the ability to enter the Barbarian Demon Canyon, I'll definitely play with you. Su-Yi muttered to himself as his gaze turned cold. This time, the Black Fiend sect had thoroughly angered Su-Yi. After a moment, Su-Yi changed into a short robe. He had also obtained it from Zhoude and the other's space bag. Once again carrying his sword and saber, Su-Yi walked out of the cave. He immediately saw the blazing barbaric bird and the snow jade barbaric ape recuperating in a cave not far from the cave. "Milord!" Seeing Su-Yi, the snow jade barbaric ape and the blazing barbaric bird stopped recuperating. "Come in and recuperate." Su-Yi nodded and called out the mysterious space. He let the snow jade barbaric ape and the blazing barbaric bird enter the mysterious space to recuperate. Recuperation there would be twice the result with half the effort. Seeing that Su-Yi could actually understand the language of beasts, the blazing barbaric bird and the snow jade barbaric ape were shocked. Then, they followed Su-Yi's instructions and entered the mysterious space. "Be careful when you set off," Su-Yi said to the golden python and the fire-eyed barbaric tiger. Although there were many savage beasts in the Barbarian Demon Canyon ahead, the recent news of the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng had attracted many experts from various places. Therefore, it was better to be careful. In the dense forest, towering trees stood tall and covered the sky. Su-Yi carried his sword and saber on his back as he slowly shuttled through the forest. A few hundred meters ahead, Su-Yi saw more than 30 figures taking a break through the gaps of a towering tree. These 30 figures were all men. The older ones were in their 50s, while the younger ones were in their 20s. The aura on their bodies was quite fierce and bloody. Beside these 30 over people, there were many bulging bags. It seemed like they had gained a lot in the Savage Demon Forest and were planning to leave the Savage Demon Forest. Looking at these people, they seemed to be a small adventurer team. Su-Yi didn't want to meet them, so he turned around and walked away. He didn't want to cause any trouble. "There's a kid over there who hasn't been eaten by a savage beast yet." Someone saw Su-Yi from afar and teased him with a smile. "Maybe there's someone else nearby. A kid who's still wet behind the ears couldn't have come here. He would have been eaten by a savage beast long ago." Someone chuckled. "Don't you think that kid looks a bit like the one the Black Fiend sect is looking for?" Suddenly, someone said as he looked at Su-Yi's back as he turned to leave. His gaze darkened as he revealed a puzzled expression. It can't really be that kid, right? Hearing this, many people became interested and their eyes lit up. The reward given by the Black Fiend sect this time was much more than what they had earned in the past few months of risking their lives in this place. If it's really that kid, then we'll be rich. Let's go take a look. If it's really that kid, then we'll be rich. Chapter 127. Don't you guys feel that the kid looks a little like the one the Black Fiend sect is looking for? Someone suddenly said as they watched Su Yi's back as he turned to leave. Their gazes darted as they revealed a puzzled and pensive expression. It can't really be that kid, right? Is it? Upon hearing this, many people's interest was immediately piqued as their gazes lit up. The reward given by the Black Fiend sect this time was much more than what they had earned in the past few months of risking their lives in this place. If it's really that kid, we're going to be rich. Let's go take a look. If it's really that kid, we're going to be rich. Many people started to get excited as they stared at Su Yi's back. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. Su Yi's footsteps paused as his expression darkened a little. Those words clearly fell into his ears. Kid, stop right there. When such shouts entered Su Yi's ears, several figures immediately rushed towards Su Yi. Are you guys calling me? Su Yi turned his head as a cold glint flashed across his eyes as he looked at the approaching figures. That's right, you're the one we're calling. One figure after another stood in front of Su Yi as their gazes immediately began to size him up. It seems to be this kid. I've seen his portrait before. He looks very similar. Very similar. The crowd discussed as if they were sizing up goods, not placing Su Yi in their eyes at all. Stay away if you don't want to die. Su Yi's gaze swept across the figures before him. A small adventurer team of 30 or so people that could not even compare to Tao Tiancheng's adventurer team. The strongest amongst them did not even have an Yuan spirit stage cultivation, only a few 9th and 8th level Yuan profound stage cultivators. Upon hearing Su Yi's words, the figures that had stepped forward were all astonished as they looked at Su Yi in astonishment. Haha, this kid is really arrogant. It doesn't matter whether he is or not, let's capture him first. We'll let the Black Fiend school take a look and then we'll know. Immediately, many voices laughed wildly, not putting Su Yi in their eyes. Since you chose to die, then die. Su Yi coldly swept his gaze over as killing intent gushed out from his eyes. These people were nothing in his eyes. Since these people wanted to hand him over to the Black Fiend sect, they deserved to die. Haha, this kid is crazy. He's still wet behind the ears, yet he's so arrogant. This brat is crazy. Everyone laughed wantonly, without any scruples. But suddenly, someone swallowed back the words he was about to say, and his complexion changed greatly. Oh! 6 huge beasts suddenly appeared in the surroundings. There was a vicious bird circling around, a golden python coiling around, and a huge tiger glaring at them covetously. They were indescribably ferocious. The space was shaken, and a storm was set off in the surroundings. Beast, demon spirit realm. Everyone's faces were filled with shock, and their hair stood on end. Under such powerful auras, those were demon spirit realm beasts. 6 demon spirit realm beasts, and there wasn't even a single origin spirit realm cultivator among them. Kill! Su Yi coldly said as he waved his hand. The fire-eyed tiger, golden python, and other beasts had been following him. Now that they appeared, they could easily wipe out this small adventurer team. Low up in the air, the leaves of the trees fluttered in the wind. The white jade mystic bird and the silver spirit butterfly flapped their wings, creating a huge gale as they swooped down. The white jade mystic bird's sharp claws stretched out, and a powerful aura erupted. Immediately, a person was directly torn apart, blood splashing everywhere. The silver spirit butterfly didn't look big, but when it flapped its wings, the aura in the surroundings turned into a storm. 2 people couldn't dodge in time and exploded in the storm. Such a scene was bloody and fierce. Even the members of the adventurer team couldn't help feeling their hair stand on end. Whoa! The fire-eyed tiger, flaming scarlet marten, hell rat, and golden python all pounced out at the same time. Their auras erupted, causing the surroundings to tremble. 6 demon spirit realm beasts pounced out, their sharp claws and fangs covering the sky. Their auras were fierce and merciless. The members of the adventurer team didn't even have the strength to resist. Run! Run! These beasts belong to that kid. Save us! In an instant, the faces of the people turned pale as they fled. Only now did they realize that the 6 origin spirit realm beasts belonged to that kid. If they knew earlier, they wouldn't have dared to provoke him. But now that they know, it's too late for regrets. The remaining people wanted to escape, but how could they escape so easily? The fire-eyed tiger opened its mouth and bit down on one of them. Blood flowed out, revealing its sharp fangs. Anyone who saw it would feel their hair stand on end. The golden python, flaming scarlet marten, and hell rat were fighting. The stench of blood filled the air and ear-splitting roars filled the air. The hell rat was as fast as lightning as it bit down on a person's weapon. Its teeth seemed to be indestructible. Then, it bit down on that person's head. The scene was too horrible to look at. Several people joined hands to block the golden python. But when the golden python's tail lashed out, the sound of metal clanging could be heard. Several people were sent flying along with their weapons. They vomited mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground, lifeless. Roar! The fire-eyed tiger roared. Its huge tiger claws shone with a cold light. The ground trembled as it smashed a person into meat paste. Kill them all. When can I make my move? 2 golden snakes appeared on Su Yi's shoulder, looking at the battle in front of them. There wasn't any fear in their eyes. Instead, they were filled with yearning. Dabeo, Xiaoling, you two cultivate well. Only when your cultivation is strong can you protect yourself in the future. Su Yi said to the 2 golden snakes. No matter if it was himself or his beast, only when they were strong could they protect themselves and everything around them. As for Dabeo and Xiaoling, those were the names that Su Yi gave to the 2 golden snakes. Dabeo was the older brother and Xiaoling was the younger sister. Soon, more than 30 people were killed. Not a single one was able to escape. Su Yi was watching indifferently from the side. The weak were prey to the strong, that was how it was. If he didn't have the fire-eyed tiger by his side today, then he would be the unlucky one. Sir, we've cleaned them up. The fire-eyed tiger, flaming scarlet marten, and the others stepped forward. Each of their claws and mouths were still bleeding. Those corpses were almost all swallowed into their mouth. The blood qi in those corpses was undoubtedly a kind of elixir for the beast. Su Yi nodded. He swept his gaze over the corpses and put them into his spatial bag. This wasn't a place to stay for long. It was better to enter the barbarian demon canyon as soon as possible. Chapter 128. During this time, Su Yi understood that the weak were prey to the strong. With his cultivation base, he wouldn't be able to become a true expert in a short period of time. However, the Black Fiend sect and the adventurer team had reminded him that if he couldn't become a true expert in a short period of time, he might as well rely on the strength of those around him. The fiery tiger, the golden python, and the others were his current strength. 2 hours later, although Su Yi wanted to avoid them, he encountered another group of adventurers. There weren't many of them, only less than 10 people. They carefully sized up Su Yi. These people seemed to have recognized Su Yi and wanted to capture Su Yi. Kill! Su Yi ordered the fiery scarlet marten and the others to kill these people. It's better to be a bit more careful, Su Yi muttered to himself. The Black Fiend sect seemed to have put up a reward for him everywhere. Many people in this forest should have already seen his portrait, so he had to be careful. Su Yi took out a cloak from those people's bags and covered his face. The cloak also covered the sword on his back. Only then did he continue on his way. Although this attire was even more eye-catching, it wasn't as if no one had entered the barbaric demon forest. Although most of the people in the barbaric demon forest were mercenaries and adventurers, there were also all kinds of people in it. Thus, although Su Yi's outfit was strange and eye-catching, the adventurers he encountered later didn't recognize him. But at dusk, a large piece of flat land appeared in front of him through the mountain range. Many buildings could be seen. The number of adventurers in the surroundings also increased. They all seemed to be heading in the same direction. Relay City. Su Yi raised his eyes slightly, revealing his eyes. He stared ahead, his eyes moving slightly. Relay City was not rare in the barbarian demon forest, so Su Yi wasn't unfamiliar with it. The barbarian demon forest was vast. There were many adventurers who needed a place to stay. Moreover, there were many places in the barbarian demon forest that had many residents. There were also many flourishing cities. Otherwise, the Black Fiend sect wouldn't have become such an illustrious power. Even in the outer regions of the barbarian demon forest, adventurers who entered to search for medicinal ingredients wouldn't be able to leave without a few months. On the other hand, not many people could have a dimensional bag, especially those small adventurer teams and mercenary group. It was unlikely that they would have a dimensional bag, and it was also impossible for them to carry the loot for a month or even longer. In Relay City, other than being a place for people to stay, one could also trade and sell various cultivation resources. There was even wine, material goods, and women. Everything that one could wish for could be found inside. Looking ahead, Su Yi hesitated for a moment. Not far ahead was the Barbarian Demon Valley. This should be the only Relay City in the Barbarian Demon Valley. He could go there and buy some medicinal pills for emergencies. Once he reached the Barbarian Demon Valley, he really didn't know when he would be able to leave. The Black Fiend sect probably didn't plan on letting him go. After finding a hidden and safe place, Su Yi informed the Golden Python to find a safe place nearby to wait for him. Then he took out many things that he didn't need from his spatial bag. He planned on going to the Relay City to exchange for some useful things. Dusk enveloped the mountain range, and the horizon was filled with red clouds. The Relay City was a bit bigger than Su Yi had imagined. There was only one road leading into the city, but after entering, it was immediately open. 10,000-year-old four-leaf spirit grass, an absolute treasure. The claws of the cyan glowing bear, a top-quality material for refining weapons. Only available for exchange, no primeval stones required. 100-years-old wine, top-quality wine. Everyone, come and have a taste. Su Yi entered the Relay City. Immediately, the clamor of voices filled the air. It was extraordinarily lively. Although this Relay City was called a city, it was actually just 2 streets. On both sides were various shops and restaurants. Behind them were inns for guests to stay. The prices of inns weren't cheap. However, for ordinary martial artists, they could just sit cross-legged outside and meditate for an entire night. Only those who were rich and overbearing would stay there if they wanted to improve the environment and comfort themselves. It wasn't the first time Su Yi had come to this kind of Relay City. When he was in the Barbarian Demon Forest, he had also gone to this kind of Relay City. Therefore, he was very familiar with the rules of this Relay City. Generally speaking, any Relay City would have a powerful force guarding it, or there would be experts guarding it in secret. In the Relay City, no one could fight. Even if there was an irreconcilable hatred, no one could fight in the Relay City. This was also the unwritten rule of the Relay City in the Barbarian Demon Forest. Su Yi walked slowly, wearing his cloak. He managed to exchange for some elixirs from the stalls on the ground. These spirit herbs still had their root. It was relatively easy to survive in the mysterious space. Su Yi also took out medicinal herbs to trade. However, these medicinal herbs couldn't survive in the mysterious space. There were many people setting up street stalls. There were all kinds of rare items and cultivation resources. However, there were more medicinal herbs. Sui wasn't stupid. It wasn't easy to find good items in these street stalls. Most of them were shoddy. In addition, if he wanted to find good items, he had to go to a bigger store. Although the price was slightly more expensive, the quality was better. The variety of cultivation resources was also better. After walking around, there were no more items that caught Suyi's eyes. There were weapons and even some martial techniques that were claimed to be peerless secret manuals. Sui could tell that they were all ordinary items at a glance. Lag Lingbao Pavilion. Sui raised his eyes slightly and walked into such a store. In this relay city, it seemed to be the biggest store. The entrance was very imposing. In this remote relay city in the barbarian demon forest, it was unique and very imposing. The interior of the Lingbao Pavilion wasn't small. There were many people shuttling back and forth. There were many adventurers going in and out. Most of these adventurers were here to sell their loot. When they went out, they all had smiles on their faces. Of course, there were also people who were here to buy elixirs and other items. In the Lingbao Pavilion, there was a dazzling array of items. Sui was stunned for a moment. There were all kinds of cultivation resources. There were many rare medicinal herbs. There were also many cultivation techniques, martial techniques, weapons, etc. Sui slowly walked around. He was quite tempted by many things. Chapter 129. Does this place sell spirit herbs? Sui asked a disciple of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. He wanted to sell some of the spirit herbs in his bag in exchange for some things he needed to prepare. Wait a moment. The disciple looked at Sui. Judging from Sui's appearance and his voice, he didn't seem to be very old. The disciple didn't seem to care much. He guessed that this young loose cultivator wouldn't be able to take out anything decent. He continued to receive a few other adventurers who were also selling resources. Okay. Sui nodded. He didn't mind and continued to stroll around the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Half an hour later, Sui took advantage of the time when the disciple of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion had finished receiving the last group of adventurers and went to ask the disciple of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Wait a moment, the disciple said. He didn't pay too much attention to Sui. I'm in a bit of a hurry. There's no one else, Sui said. He saw that the disciple had already received a few adventurers. He had also waited for a long time. Besides, there was no one else around. I told you to wait, so you wait. Don't you think I need to rest? The disciple looked to be in his 30s. He was at the profound origin realm, but his cultivation level wasn't high. He coldly looked at Sui, and his expression became somewhat impatient. Get out of the way. Line up. I'll go first. 3 burly men stepped forward. Their bodies were at least twice as big as Sui's, and they were also a head taller. They directly pushed Sui aside. Each of them carried 2 bulging bags and placed them on the counter in front of the disciple. When they opened the bags, they were filled with spirit herbs and all kinds of savage beast materials. Everyone, I came first. Can you all line up? Sui glared at the 3 burly men and his stubbornness flared up. What? Hiding your head and showing your tail? Are you trying to act all mysterious? Get lost. If we weren't in the relay city, I would have killed you. Among the 3 burly men, the one closest to Sui on the rightmost side looked to be in his 40s. Dressed in tight-fitting clothes, his skin was dark and his eyes were bright. The aura of a cultivation at the 2nd level of the origin spirit stage was faintly discernible as it emanated from him, forcefully enveloping Sui. Boom! This aura caused Sui to tremble uncontrollably, and his legs almost went soft. Boom! The origin energy within Sui's body surged. The primordial chaos supreme art circulated within his body. His aura didn't leak out, allowing him to resist this invisible pressure. With your cultivation base, I'm afraid you're not qualified to kill me. If we were outside, you would already be a dead man. Sui stared straight at the burly man. The primordial chaos supreme art within his body was like an emperor that couldn't be challenged. If not for Suyi's suppression, it would likely have retaliated. Sensing the aura of the burly man before him, Sui really didn't care much. If they were outside, it was hard to say who would be the one to die. However, upon hearing Suyi's words, the burly man was momentarily stunned, as if he was somewhat astonished. Could it be that he had really encountered an expert? However, from the other party's appearance and that slightly immature voice, he couldn't possibly be that old. His cultivation base shouldn't be that strong either. You're provoking our fire bear gang. Once we leave the relay city, you'll pay the price. The burly man's face instantly darkened as he stared coldly at Sui. Once we leave the relay city, you're welcome to find me and pay the price. Sui coldly replied, his gaze under the cloak looking straight at the burly man. Swish, swish, such a commotion immediately attracted the attention of many people within the Lingbao pavilion. Immediately, with a swish, swish sound, everyone's curious gazes swept over, sizing up Sui and the three burly men. At this moment, on the third floor of the Lingbao pavilion, two figures stood quietly. There were three people, one man and one woman, and the other one was wearing a cloak and a white veil. The man looked to be in his 50s, dressed in ordinary clothes, and half of his black hair was bald. The woman also looked to be in her 50s, dressed in a plain long dress, with her hair combed into a bun. There were faint wrinkles on her face, giving her a slightly benevolent appearance. She quietly stood beside the man wearing a cloak and a white veil. The last one was dressed in a light purple dress, with a light veil over her, which vividly outlined her graceful figure. Her waist-length hair slanted over her soft, boneless waist. Although her face couldn't be seen clearly, it was enough to imagine that under the veil, it was definitely a moving face. At this moment, the three people's gazes also fell on the ground below. If you want to wait, then wait. If you don't want to wait, then leave. The Lingbao Pavilion can't do without you to buy things. In the hall, the disciple of the Lingbao Pavilion coldly glared at Sui, then looked at the three burly men and smiled. He warmly smiled at the burly man who was glaring at Sui and said, "Brother Sanxiong, there's no need to lower yourself to the same level as this guy. You've gained a lot this time. Let's do it the old way." The second burly man's gaze swept over Sui, and then he looked at the disciple of the Lingbao Pavilion and lowered his voice. "All right, let's do it the old way." The disciple of the Lingbao Pavilion also lowered his voice, and a smile appeared in his eyes. Sui looked at the disciple of the Lingbao Pavilion from the side, smiled bitterly, and shook his head. "Big stores bully customers. If you don't want to keep me here, there will be other places to keep me." Sui smiled bitterly. There was no need to stay. The Lingbao Pavilion wasn't the only business in this city. With that, Sui turned and left. Sanxiong stared at Sui's back and said, "Don't ever let me see you outside the city, or else you'll be dead." Hearing this, Sui, who had just turned, stopped and looked back at Sanxiong. "I'll return those words to you." With that, Sui left without looking back. "Humph, outside the city, you'll be dead." Sanxiong's eyes were cold, and his fists were clenched. But he was very clear that inside the city, there was no way to fight. This was the rule of the city. Any disputes must be settled outside the city. "Deacon Wu, did you hear that? Big stores bully customers." Although this city is small, the Lingbao Pavilion's name is not small. On the third floor of the Lingbao Pavilion, the beautiful woman wearing a white veil and a cloak spoke. Her voice was clear and crisp, but also carried a trace of immaturity. She didn't seem to be very old. "Go cool, #craftsman. Net_D, I didn't use the right people," the old man in his 50s said to the woman. His expression was respectful, but his attitude was neither servile nor overbearing. "It's not your fault. In such a large granary, it's inevitable that there will be some worms that spoil the rice." The woman's voice was faint as she said, "Don't let others think that the Lingbao Pavilion bullies our customers. The achievements and status that we have today are inseparable from the reputation of every customer." "Understood, I'll make the arrangements." The old man saluted, then bowed and left. Su-yi walked out of the Lingbao Pavilion. This place didn't want to keep him. Big stores bully customers, so he'd just go to another place. "Friend, please wait." Chapter 130. Su-yi looked back. It was a young man, not even 30 years old. Judging from his clothes, he was also a disciple of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. "What's the matter?" Seeing that it was a disciple of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, Su-yi raised his eyebrows and asked indifferently. "Our manager has invited you. If you have offended him just now, please come to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion again to apologize." The young man was very polite as he spoke to Su-yi. "Forget it, I'm too lazy to go back." Su-yi shook his head. He no longer had a good impression of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. After speaking, he turned to leave. "Friend, please stay." The young man immediately stepped forward and stopped Su-yi. He seemed to be secretly puzzled. Just now, the manager of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion had invited him. In the entire barbarian demon forest, everyone would be flattered, but this person was actually indifferent. He couldn't help but feel a little strange. Looking at Su-yi, the young man didn't leave any trace, but his attitude was very sincere. He continued, "Friend, you seem to want to sell something. You should know that in the entire city, the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's price is the highest. Moreover, you are a guest invited by our manager, so the price will definitely be higher. If I can't invite you back, I'm afraid the manager will think that I'm incompetent. So, I hope that you will do me the honor and not make things difficult for me. I thank you very much." Su-yi looked at the young man in front of him. His attitude was very sincere. He was a little surprised. After pondering for a while, he nodded and said, "Okay, I really do need to sell something and buy some pills. Friend, please. The Spirit Treasures Pavilion has the most types of pills in the entire city." Seeing this, the young man's eyes suddenly revealed a smile. He immediately led Su-yi back to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. This time, with the young man leading the way, Su-yi went up to the second floor under the envious gazes of many people on the first floor. The second floor was a little smaller. Only when he reached the second floor of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion did Su-yi realize that there was another world on the second floor. The second floor was also filled with a dazzling array of all kinds of cultivation resources. Pills, martial skills, cultivation methods, weapons, armors, medicinal materials, etc. Everything one could think of was there, and the level was much higher than the first floor. Scarlet Fire Blood Lingji, Snow Jade Spirit Fruit. Su-yi's gaze swept across the room. Just the number of valuable herbs alone was not small. Su-yi even saw some herbs that could be used to refine high-tier celestial-grade pills. The second floor is full of high-class items, only for the important guests of the Lingbao Hall. Our manager will be here soon, please wait for a moment. The young man brought Su-yi to a rather luxuriously decorated small hall. After serving tea and snacks, he bowed and left. Su-yi sized up the small hall. Even in a place like the barbarian demon forest, this place was still so luxurious. It seemed like he had underestimated the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. The Lingbao sect has always treated our guests with the utmost respect. Please forgive us for what just happened. Just as Su-yi was sizing him up, an old man in his 50s walked into the small hall and looked at Su-yi. He was dressed in ordinary clothes and half of his head was bald. It's an Origin Void stage expert. Su-yi sized up the old man. Suddenly, his gaze moved. This old man looked ordinary, but Su-yi could feel an invisible and powerful aura behind him. This aura was similar to the Black Fiend Sect's elder Bai and the woman who disguised herself as a man that Su-Yi came in contact with. This was an Origin Void stage expert. Let me introduce myself. This old man is an ordinary manager of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. My surname is Wu. How should I address you, friend? The old man looked at Su-Yi, as if he wanted to spy on him through the mask. However, he did not use his aura to forcefully search him. He was only sizing him up secretly. Manager Wu. Su-Yi nodded in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. This was not the first time he met an Origin Void stage expert. However, this old man's cultivation was at the Origin Void stage, yet he was only an ordinary manager of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. This made Su-Yi inwardly shocked. Su-Yi was inwardly shocked. Could it be that the Spirit Treasures Pavilion had other great origins? One must know that Elder Bai and other profound Void stage experts were all elders of the Black Fiend Sect. Looking at Su-Yi's reaction, which was neither servile nor overbearing, he did not seem to be moved at all. Judging from the voice, it was a young man, but his reaction and composure seemed to be unfathomable. This made Manager Wu inwardly move. If it were not for special reasons, as a manager, he would not need to show his face to such a customer. This small store of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion was only one of the branches in the area he was patrolling. Today, he encountered such a situation and there was an important person in the pavilion, so he personally showed up. However, the young man in front of him did not seem to have a big reaction. One must know that anyone in the entire barbaric demon forest would be moved when they heard the words manager of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. What does this friend want to buy? Can you open this old man's eyes? Manager Wu's expression did not reveal anything as he probed. This young man seemed to give him a strange feeling. Look at N+R version I, Chapter 7, Part 1. Manager Wu is being too serious. I'm afraid some unremarkable medicinal herbs and pills would not be able to enter Manager Wu's eyes. Su-Yi smiled faintly. Naturally, these things of his were not worth mentioning in the eyes of an Origin Void stage expert. He was even a little embarrassed to take them out. However, Su-Yi still opened the bag he was carrying. After all, the people of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion took the initiative to invite him back. Su-Yi's bag was filled with medicinal herbs and other items that he had obtained along the way. Aside from some that he had exchanged outside, the amount was not much, but it was not little either. Of course, the amount of medicinal herbs and other items that Su-Yi had on him was far more than this. The main reason was that Su-Yi was afraid that if he exchanged too much at once, it would attract the attention of others. In addition, Su-Yi also took out some pills that he did not need. He wanted to exchange for some other pills and other items in case he needed them. When Su-Yi opened the bag and saw a pile of medicinal herbs and other items, Manager Wu's eyes, which were originally filled with anticipation, suddenly became calm. They were indeed some unremarkable medicinal herbs. To a cultivator at the Origin Void realm, they were as unremarkable as they could be. Are these pills? Manager Wu picked up a jade bottle. He did not have much expectation for the medicinal herbs. He opened the jade bottle and poured out some pills. Recovery pill, Earth Xian pill, Spirit cultivating pill, Tri-Yuan pill. Looking at the recovery pill in his hand, Manager Wu's last bit of expectation disappeared. Recovery pill, Earth Xian pill, Spirit cultivating pill, and Tri-Yuan pill. Although they were all high-class moon-grade pills, they were already very valuable for Origin Soul Stage and Origin Void Stage expert. However, in front of him, an original Void Stage cultivator and a deacon of the Lingbao Pavilion, these superior moon-grade elixirs were nothing at all. Is that all? Manager Wu said. His last bit of expectation had disappeared. It seemed that this young man was not special at all. These things were not much better than the things that a small team of adventurers could get. Chapter 131. This is the recovery pill, Earth Xian pill, Peiyuan pill, Triyuan pill. How could Deacon Wu not notice that the recovery elixir, Earth Profound elixir, Peiyuan elixir, Triyuan elixir, and other elixirs were originally moon-grade superior elixirs? However, the elixirs that Deacon Wu saw at this moment were much better than ordinary moon-grade superior elixirs. It would be fine if there was only one pill, but all of the pills, whether it was the Earth Xian pill or the Peiyuan pill, were much better than ordinary pills. Friend, where did these pills come from? Deacon Wu looked at Sui, his eyes rippling as if he wanted to see through Sui. Does the Lingbao Pavilion need to know the origin before accepting them? Sui asked indifferently. Cool Z Craftsman Net. The only one original version 04, equals others are all original versions. Looking at Deacon Wu's expression, it was as Sui had expected. After these elixirs were placed in the mysterious space, their value had increased by quite a bit. This time, Sui took out these elixirs to test if their value had increased. That's not it. Deacon Wu's expression returned to normal. He knew that he had lost his composure. The Lingbao Pavilion naturally did not ask about the origin of all kinds of cultivation resources. Even if it was a trading company, they would not ask about the origin of the good. That's all. Calculate the value. Sui said in a calm voice. The Lingbao Pavilion has a price for these herbs and elixirs. They are definitely the highest in this city. As for these pills, the Lingbao Pavilion can buy them at the original price. They are high-tier Moon Xian pills, 100-star origin stones each. This is my apology to you. Deacon Wu said to Sui. Haha, so there is no one in the Lingbao Pavilion who knows the value of the pills. Forget it, I won't sell them. Sui smiled faintly and was about to put away the pills. Friend, what do you mean? Deacon Wu's expression changed slightly as he asked Sui. Since Attendant Wu can't tell what my medicinal pills are like, then forget it. I'll go ask around. Sui quietly said. Friend, please wait. Hearing this, Deacon Wu's face twitched. Seeing that Sui was about to put away the pills, he immediately stopped him and said, Can you wait for me for a moment? I'll take these pills to a connoisseur and then we'll decide. How about that? All right. Sui thought for a moment, then nodded. The Spirit Treasures Pavilion was so big, not to mention that this person before him was an Origin Void stage cultivator. He would not be greedy for these medicinal pills of his. If he appeared to be worried, it would inevitably make others think that he was petty. Please wait a moment. Administrator Wu nodded. He picked up Suyi's jade bottles of medicinal pills and left. Deacon Wu, no wonder people say you don't know what's good for you. On the third floor of the Spiritual Treasure Hall, in a small, exquisite hall, a graceful figure with a white veil on her head spoke in a childish voice. Although these medicinal pills are of low grade, this old man has seen them all in his life, so it's hard for me to decide. That's why I brought them here for Fairy to see. It's said that Fairy already has good attainments in alchemy, so you must know more about them than this old man. Deacon Wu was slightly embarrassed. It was not that he could not see the uniqueness of these medicinal pills. They were far superior to ordinary medicinal pills. That's why he said he would buy them at the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's original price, which was equivalent to not making a profit. But Deacon Wu did not expect the young man to be so astute. He could have made the decision, but Fairy happened to be here, so he brought them here for her to see. Indeed, this is what I've seen in my life. It's obviously a high-grade moon-grade medicinal pill, but its level and medicinal strength are comparable to a low-grade star-grade medicinal pill. From what I know, even a fourth-grade alchemist would not be able to refine a high-grade moon-grade medicinal pill to the same level as a low-grade star-grade medicinal pill. There was an unconcealable surprise in the childish voice. She was also an alchemist, so she knew that although the grade of these medicinal pills was not high, even a fourth-grade alchemist would not be able to refine such medicinal strength. Could that person be a high-grade alchemist? but it doesn't sound like it. Moreover, a fourth-grade alchemist would not only take out such little things. Deacon Wu was shocked when he heard Fairy's evaluation. What kind of existence was a fourth-grade alchemist? Alchemists and blacksmiths were divided into 7 grades from the 1st grade to the 7th grade. However, the status of a grade 1 pill refiner and alchemist was probably even higher than that of an essence spirit stage practitioner. Wherever they went, they would be treated as distinguished guests. A 2nd-grade alchemist's status was even higher. A 4th-grade alchemist's status was much higher than an Origin Void Realm cultivator's. A 4th-grade alchemist's side was enough to have a large group of Origin Emperor Realm cultivators following him. These medicinal pills are not of the same type, nor are they of the same type. All of them are of a higher grade than normal. This proves that they were refined by only one alchemist, Fairy said. She paused for a moment, then continued. There are 2 possibilities. Perhaps this person is truly a high-grade alchemist, and came here for some unknown reason. The other possibility is that if this person is truly a young man, then there is definitely a high-grade alchemist behind him. In that case, this person might have intentionally hidden his identity. If he is truly a young man, then it is extremely likely that he is the disciple of a 4th-grade alchemist, Deacon Wu said. I have never seen a medicinal pill with such medicinal strength. In my opinion, even a 4th-grade alchemist might not be able to refine such an effect, the plain-clothed woman who had not spoken until now said. Senior Sister Mo is correct, Fairy said with a faint smile in her voice. Regardless of the grade of the alchemist who refined these medicinal pills, it can be confirmed that the alchemist who refined these medicinal pills is definitely not simple. Fairy, what should we do now? Deacon Wu asked. No matter if he is a high-grade alchemist himself, or if there is a high-grade alchemist behind him, since he has chosen to conceal his appearance, then he naturally does not wish to be disturbed and recognized. However, such an existence is worthy of our Spirit Treasures Pavilion's friendship. If we form good karma today, we will reap good karma in the future, Fairy said. Fairy's words are extremely true. Deacon Wu nodded. Fairy's gaze under the veil looked at Deacon Wu. Then, with a trace of coldness, she said, the parasites in this branch should be dealt with. Yes. Deacon Wu nodded with a serious expression. Deacon Wu was very clear that although this fairy was young, she had quite a reputation in the entire Spirit Treasures Pavilion. She naturally had her own methods. Friend, I have made you wait for a long time. These medicinal pills are not simple. My Spirit Treasures Pavilion is willing to purchase all of these medicinal pills at 10 times the original price. What do you think? Chapter 132. 10 times. Hearing this, Su-Yi couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. 10 times the price, originally 100 one-star primordial stones, now it was 1,000 one-star primordial stones. Such a price was almost the price of a low-tier celestial-grade elixir. Although the level of the elixir that was enhanced by the mysterious space was comparable to the low-tier celestial-grade elixir. But Su-Yi also knew that the elixir was only a high-tier celestial-grade elixir. And most New 9, Chapter O, WX. No matter how abnormal the mysterious space was, it couldn't really enhance the level of the elixir. Originally, Su-Yi thought that the elixir that was enhanced by the mysterious space would be worth double the price. In the long run, it would be enough to make him rich. But now, the price was 10 times the price. One elixir was 1,000 one-star primordial stones. Su-Yi took out dozens of elixirs. Thinking that it could be exchanged for tens of thousands of one-star primordial stones, Su-Yi couldn't help but gasp. This was too amazing. Okay, deal. Thank you. Su-Yi didn't refuse and smiled. Although he didn't know why Lingbao Pavilion would pay such a high price for these elixirs, Su-Yi knew that Lingbao Pavilion was very sincere. You're welcome. If there's anything that Lingbao Pavilion can do for you in the future, no matter where, please come to any branch of Lingbao Pavilion. Deacon Wu was very polite. As he spoke, he took out a space bag and handed it to Su-yi. He said, "All the primordial stones and these herbs have been calculated. The total is 40,301 star primordial stones. This space bag is a gift to you. I still need to buy some herbs and elixirs," Su-yi said to Deacon Wu. At the same time, he took the space bag. He pretended to be calm, but in his heart, he was trembling. This was tens of thousands of primordial stones. It was enough to buy many Su clans. With so many primordial stones, he couldn't let the mysterious space absorb more. "Of course," Manager Wu said. "What kind of medicinal pills and ingredients do you need? We'll sell them to you at the lowest price. I need some spirit herbs that haven't been harvested long ago. The more the better, but the fresher they are. Give me some of your vitality recovery pills, as well as early-stage 7th-grade demon vitality pills, barbarian spirit pills." Su-yi listed a lot of medicinal herbs and several kinds of pills in one breath. They were all ordinary-level spiritual herbs and healing pills. Su-yi didn't forget about the golden python and the other beasts. Beast essence pills and barbarian spirit pills were needed by savage beasts. The demonic essence pill was more suitable for savage beasts to heal their injuries, while the barbarian spirit pill could increase their cultivation. Hearing Su-yi's words, Deacon Wu couldn't help being startled. This person had just sold a recovery pill to the Spirit Treasure Pavilion, and now he wanted to buy a recovery pill from the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. In addition, this person wanted to purchase quite a number of pills for savage beasts. Even though the quality of the pills was not high, the quantity was not small. Thus, Administrator Wu could not help but feel puzzled. However, Deacon Wu couldn't show it. These pills were relatively common, and the branch of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion also had them. Deacon Wu naturally didn't know that Su-yi wanted a recovery pill because at his current cultivation level, this kind of healing pill was the most suitable for him. Su-yi could put the recovery pill in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion into the mysterious space, and take it when the time came. The effect would be even better. Deacon Wu nodded in response, and then called out from outside the door. "Greetings, Deacon." A young man immediately walked in. It was the young man who had originally come to invite Su-yi back. Deacon Wu reported the items that Su-yi needed to the young man. The young man nodded and immediately went to arrange it. Su-yi didn't need to take it personally. He needs so many medicinal herbs. Didn't he just have a recovery pill in the exquisite small hall on the 3rd floor? Fairy was puzzled and muttered to herself. If he's a 4th-rank alchemist, then these medicinal herbs are too low level. He wouldn't need a recovery pill, the plain-clothed woman softly said. Her slightly wrinkled face was also filled with doubt. "I think that perhaps the alchemist behind this person is a high-rank alchemist. Perhaps he bought so many medicinal herbs for practice. He should also be an alchemist." Under the veil, Fairy slightly raised her eyes. Her voice was clear and melodious. She smiled faintly and said, "I'll go take a look. I'll see if the alchemist behind this person is simple. Perhaps I'll be able to find some clues from this person." In the hall on the 2nd floor, Deacon Wu sat with Su-yi. Whether intentionally or not, he was inquiring about Su-yi's background. However, no matter what, Su-yi was still a reincarnated person. How could he be tricked into speaking? He was neither servile nor overbearing. His expression was calm as he responded to Deacon Wu's questions. Deacon Wu became more and more surprised. Was this really a young man? He actually couldn't get any information out of him. This young man gave him an unfathomable feeling. Soon, the young man returned with the medicinal herbs and pills that Su-yi needed. The spiritual herbs were all freshly picked. Su-yi selected them and only left behind the spiritual herbs with complete root. This way they could survive in the mysterious space. In the end, Su-yi's 40,000 source stones were only left with 18,000. He couldn't help but feel a bit of heartache. Spending over 20,000 primeval stones in a day was unimaginably extravagant in Man City. After putting the medicinal herbs and pills into his spatial bag, Sue got up and prepared to leave. "Your Excellency, please wait." Just at this moment, a clear voice sounded. Sue looked in the direction of the voice and saw a plain-clothed woman and a beautiful figure with a white veil covering her face. That graceful and exquisite figure was wearing a light purple dress and a light muslin jacket, which vividly outlined her graceful figure. Even her long hair was slanted to her waist, as if it was boneless, causing people to be unable to help but let their imaginations run wild. Sue sized up the beautiful figure. Judging from her voice, she didn't seem to be old. Moreover, judging from her invisible temperament, it was not hard to imagine that under the white veil was a moving face. Even if she was not devastatingly beautiful, she would be able to seduce all living beings. A powerhouse, very powerful. However, when Sue looked at the plain-clothed woman in her 50s, his eyes immediately trembled. The woman was wearing a plain long dress. Her hair was tied up in a bun, and there were faint wrinkles on her face. She seemed kind, but the invisible aura made Sue feel that she was unfathomable. She gave Sue a feeling that she was even stronger than Attendant Wu. This woman was definitely a powerhouse. "Let me introduce you. This is our Spirit Treasure Pavilions." Attendant Wu stood up with a respectful expression and introduced the person to Sue. "My name is Lon Balian, and I am also a disciple of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. I still don't know your name. Is it convenient for you to tell me?" Lon Balian interrupted Attendant Wu. Her eyes under the white veil seemed to be fixed on Sue. Sue was a little startled. Looking at Lon Balian's aura and Attendant Wu's attitude, it seemed that her position in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion was not simple. What day was it today that the higher-ups of the Spirit Treasure Pavilion were attracted? "Sue," Sue said softly. "Sue. If it was the other way around, then he would be called Sue. It could be considered as not changing his name. Sue." Chapter 133. It doesn't matter where I came from. Treasures like the blood jade spirit ginseng can only be obtained by those who are fated. If Miss Lon doesn't have anything else to say, I'll take my leave first. Sue said softly. This Lon Balian was not old, but her position in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion was not simple. She was probably not a good person. It was better to have less contact with her. After saying that, Sue nodded slightly and turned to leave. Seeing Sue leave, Lon Balian's eyes under the white veil moved slightly. She then said, "Mr. Sue, please wait." As she said that, Lon Balian's graceful figure appeared in front of Sue without any movement. A faint fragrance assailed his nostrils. At this moment, Sue's eyes under the cloak and mask trembled. This Lon Balian was indeed not simple. Hula! At this moment, a formless aura surged over and entered Sue's mind through the cloak and mask. This aura was silent and very strange. However, Sue felt it. At this moment, the faint scarlet soul energy in his mind surged. In an instant, in Sue's mind, a majestic and destructive aura spread out from the depths of his soul. Then, it wrapped around the formless aura. The faint scarlet soul energy fluctuated and radiated light. It was as if it was on fire. The aura suddenly became hot. Chi-la, in an instant, the formless aura seemed to be burned away. It immediately retreated. GJ Update Unspecified Currency New Most Fast on 7-inch Bang. Lon Balian's feet trembled for no reason. Shock surged from her eyes under the white veil. Soul energy. At this moment, Sue realized that someone's soul energy had invaded his mind. "Miss Lon, what is the meaning of this?" Sue stared at Lon Balian, and a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. This was Lon Balian's doing. If he hadn't taken the initiative to counterattack due to his soul power, the consequences would have been dire. Mr. Isu, I don't have any evil intentions. I'm just curious about Mr. Isu. Please forgive me. Lon Balian bowed. She did not hide anything. Her expression darkened. At this moment, even through the mask, she could feel the sharpness in his eyes. Lon Balian was indeed using her soul energy to probe. As she expected, this young man in front of her was definitely an alchemist. What shocked her even more was that this person's soul energy was very strong. It was strange and frightening. The aura in his soul energy was like that of an emperor who could not be provoked. It was destructive and made her feel as if she had been struck by lightning. If she had not retreated quickly, her soul energy would have been injured. Following that, Lon Balian took out a black, triangular, an exquisite black card with many exquisite patterns engraved on it. She handed it to Sui. With an apologetic voice, she said, "This is the black card of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. In the future, when Mr. goes to any branch of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, as long as you show this card, you will enjoy the best service of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Take it as my apology to Mr. Immortal Lady." This, when he saw the black card that Lon Balian took out, Attendant Wu's expression could not help but change. His heart could not help but ripple. This was the black card of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. In the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, there were a total of 4 types of VIP card. They were the Silver card, Gold card, Black card, and the Supreme Spirit card. Generally speaking, it was already difficult to become a VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Everyone knew that if one wanted to become a VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, even if it was just a Silver card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, it represented not only strength but also status. Generally speaking, a Silver card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion would not be able to become a VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion unless one had an extremely powerful backer. Otherwise, even if one had the cultivation of the Yuan-Zhen realm, one would not be able to become a VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion if one did not have a special relationship or backer. As for the Gold card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, if an Yuan-Zhen realm cultivator could become a Gold card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, it would be enough to show off. As for the Black card, there were not many people in the entire Spirit Treasures Pavilion who were qualified to sign such a VIP card. The Immortal Lady before him was one of them. Just this alone was enough to prove how difficult it was to become a Black card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. A Black card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion would not only enjoy the simple service of purchasing and selling cultivation resources. It was enough to make those experts in the world scramble like duck. And now, the Immortal Lady had actually directly signed a black card and handed it to a young man that she had not even met before. How could Attendant Wu not be shocked? In the entire continent, there were not many black card VIP of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. "Alright, then I won't stand on ceremony." Sui stopped. Without much hesitation, he reached out his hand to take the black card under Attendant Wu's astonished gaze and immediately left. "Send Mr. Isu off," Lon Lianlian said. Lon Balian asked. Her eyes under the white veil stared at Sui's back. Her gaze was hazy and filled with shock. The young man from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion went up to enthusiastically send Sui off. "Immortal Lady, this is a black card of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion." This Isu, Attendant Wu was very depressed. First of all, this black card was given away so casually. Most importantly, this was a black card of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. If it was given to anyone else, they would be wild with joy and indescribable excitement. However, that Isu was actually indifferent. It was as if he did not care at all as he took the black card and left. How could this Attendant Wu know that Sui did not know of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's origins at all? What black card or gold card? To Sui, it was just something that he might be able to buy at a discount. It would be a waste not to pick up such a bargain. Furthermore, this Lan Lian had just offended him. Being able to get a discount on the black card was just compensation. This is good karma. There is no need to say anything more, Lan Lian said to attendant Wu in the hall. At this moment, Lan Lian had many doubts in her heart. This Yi Su gave her an unfathomable feeling. Earlier, she sized him up. No matter how she looked at him, he should not be very old. Could it be that he was deliberately hiding it? Otherwise, why would he not be affected by the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's black card? Even an ordinary origin monarch would not be able to maintain such composure. Immortal lady, did you see anything? The plain-clothed woman asked Lan Lian. She had also sensed something unusual from Lan Lian's reaction earlier. If he is not deliberately hiding it, then he should be an alchemist. His soul energy is very special and strong. To be able to train such a disciple, the person behind him is definitely not ordinary. He should be worthy of a black card, Lan Lian said softly, frowning slightly. Chapter 134. Su Yi left the Lingbao Hall. He had gained a lot this time. Su Yi strolled around the city for a while and finally walked into a wine shop. The wine shop was bustling with noise and excitement. Many bare-chested men were playing finger-guessing games and shouting. They were in groups of 3 to 5, 8 to 9. They were all adventurers or mercenaries. Some of them lived in the barbarian demon forest for months on end. Naturally, they wanted to relax. In addition to wine, there was also meat in the wine shop. Most of the meat came from low-level beasts. Drinking big bowls and eating big pieces of meat were more suitable for these mercenaries and adventurers. Su Yi found a secluded corner and asked for a pot of wine and a plate of meat. When I go back, I must go to Little Peach for 3 days and 3 nights. Just thinking about her breasts makes me drool. Ha ha ha, 3 days and 3 nights for you? I'm afraid you will die in Little Peach's hands. There was a hubbub of voices. These mercenaries and adventurers were quite rude. Su Yi came to the wine shop mainly to inquire about information. In such a place where people from all walks of life gathered, plus wine and meat, it was the best place for information to circulate. The Black Devil sect hasn't found the kid they are looking for. The reward has been increased. I heard that if you provide information about that kid, you can get 50,000 yuan stones. If you capture that kid, you can get a high-level star-grade elixir. That kid is really a talent. He is very difficult to deal with. He killed the young master of the Black Devil sect and left them empty-handed for so long. Not only that, I heard that not long ago, Heiju of the Black Devil sect tried to capture that kid, but he couldn't. He killed the only son of the master of the Black Devil sect. That kid is really bold. The Black Devil sect will definitely not let this go. Su Yi frowned. Finally, he heard the news he wanted to hear. He immediately pricked up his ears and listened carefully. MJB starter unspecified currency. However, this information was more or less what Su Yi had expected. The Black Fiend sect had increased the reward for finding him, so the information was more or less the same. I see experts from the Black Fiend school coming. Could it be that the brat fled here? That's not possible. That person seems to be an elder from the Black Fiend sect. I heard that the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng appeared in the barbarian Yao Grand Canyon. Maybe the experts from the Black Fiend sect came for the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng. It can't be. Did the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng really appear? Shu, lower your voice. Not many people know about this. I only heard about it by accident. It shouldn't be baseless, right? However, some of the discussions that followed caused Su Yi to secretly frown. If an elder from the Black Fiend sect really appeared in the vicinity, it would be best for him to avoid them. Once he encountered them, it would be disastrous. Suddenly, Su Yi, who was listening attentively, felt a cold gaze fall on him. Su Yi looked in the direction of the gaze. Not far away, the owner of the cold gaze was sitting at a table with a few people. The owner of this gaze was none other than the 3 bears from the Wild Bear Gang. At this moment, the other 2 burly men from the 3 bears were also present, along with a few other burly men. The few of them were whispering something to each other. In the end, they all looked over with cold sneers. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road, Sue-yi smiled faintly. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. He didn't expect to meet these people again in this wine shop. He had already gathered all the information he needed. There might be experts from the Black Fiend sect in the vicinity. Sue-yi stood up and directly left. Seeing Sue-yi stand up, the few people from the Wild Bear Gang looked at each other and sneered. They stood up and followed behind Sue-yi without leaving a trace. All of this was naturally noticed by Sue-yi. Without batting an eyelid, he cast a sideways glance at the few people following behind him. It was Sue-yi's first time encountering a few Origin Spirit Stage practitioners following him in such a secretive manner. Sue-yi pondered to himself. These were a few Origin Spirit Stage practitioners. The Wild Bear Gang might have other people in other places. Once he left the Inn-City, these people might not be able to hold themselves back and make a move against him. Sue-yi didn't feel that he had any advantage in terms of speed against a few Origin Spirit Stage practitioners. After leaving the Inn-City, these fellows would likely no longer hide and would directly make their move. When that happened, the chances of him escaping would be minuscule. He was too close to the Inn-City, and there were too many people passing by. It wouldn't be convenient for him to let the Golden Python and the rest take action. Moreover, for safety's sake, Sue-yi had the Golden Python wait for him a little further away. "Boss, how much is this?" Sue-yi walked and stopped along the way. From time to time, he would deliberately turn his head back, causing the few Wild Bear Gang members to continuously dodge and avoid him. "Dear customer, come up and play." At the corner of the street, there were a few scantily clad women with heavy makeup trying to entice passers-by. "How much is it?" Sue-yi suddenly had an idea. Without leaving a trace, he glanced behind him and asked a gorgeous woman with a deep cleavage in front of him. "The price is cheap. I guarantee your satisfaction." Seeing Sue-yi reply, the gorgeous woman immediately wrapped her arms around Sue-yi's arm in a passionate and charming manner. "If you guarantee my satisfaction, then what can you do?" Sue-yi laughed and took the opportunity to grope the gorgeous woman's waist. "Customer, you're so naughty. I guarantee you'll be satisfied." "Of course, I can play anything." The gorgeous woman became even more charming, and took the opportunity to press herself closer to Sue-yi's body. "Anything." Hearing this, Sue-yi's heart couldn't help but sway. With one arm around the gorgeous woman, Sue-yi went up to the second floor and entered a room. "Humph, this guy sure is carefree and happy. If it weren't for the fact that we can't fight in Relay City, I'd kill him right now. Save me the trouble of waiting for him here." Turning a corner not too far away, the 3 bears' face was gloomy and angry. The 3 bears had thought the guy was going to leave the city. Who would have guessed that he was going to visit a brothel? Looking at the gorgeously dressed women at the intersection, the 3 bears, who had been out for several months, suddenly felt his throat go dry. He couldn't help but swallow. If that guy can go up to the second floor of the Spirit Treasures Pavilion, then he must have a lot of things on him. The face of the big bear of the 3 rough-looking men flickered. He should be leaving the city. "Just wait a bit," said the second bear, his gaze gloomy. Of the 3 brothers, he had always been the brains. "Humph, when the time comes, I'll definitely make that guy regret messing with me." The third bear clenched his fists and said hatefully. Time slowly passed. More than 2 hours later, the Wild Bear Gang members were starting to get impatient. Especially the women in front of them, who were gorgeously dressed and dazzling, made them even more uncomfortable. Chapter 135. He's out. It's that woman. But why didn't that guy come out? Don't tell me he played too hard and died in his room. Look at that woman. Look at her. Her breast. She's obviously a sucker. Normal people wouldn't be able to take it. A few of the men from the Wild Bear Gang had lewd smiles on their faces as they stared at the gorgeous woman walking down the stairs. They couldn't help but imagine how coquettish the gorgeous woman was on the bed just now. No, that kid might have already discovered us. Second Bear's expression changed. Sui left the post house without hesitation. If the Wild Bear Gang caught up to him, he would be the only one out of luck. As for the gorgeous woman, Sui entered her room, paid her, and left through the back window. Sui didn't want to leave his virginity in this world, nor did he want to give his first time to a woman who was in the flesh business. After leaving the city, he paid attention to his back. Sui used his identity and left quickly. Although he was carrying a heavy sword, Sui's speed wasn't slow. However, after 2 hours, Sui noticed that someone was following him. They're finally here. Sui seemed to have predicted all of this. The corners of his mouth curved into a smile under the mask, and he went into a remote forest in front of him. Quick, follow that guy. He's right in front. That's him. Don't let him get away. On the main road, dozens of figures rushed out. It was a majestic sight. The ones at the front were the 3 brothers from the Wild Bear Gang. From the gorgeous woman, the Wild Bear Gang learned that Sui had escaped. He must have left the city. They immediately notified everyone to search for him. On the way, the 3 brothers asked for information. After all, Sui's appearance was very eye-catching. After chasing for 2 hours, they finally caught up. Let's do it in front. Quick. The 3 brothers rubbed their fists, their eyes cold. This was the perfect place to make a move. After enduring for so long, they could finally make their move. Boom! As soon as they spoke, Yuan Qi surged under their feet. The Yuan Qi transformed into a 3-zhang tall leopard. Roar! The leopard let out a deep roar and charged towards Sui. The 3 brothers were at the essence spirit realm. However, the beast shape formed from his Yuan Qi was a beast, not a bird. Generally speaking, when an essence spirit realm cultivator's Yuan Qi took form, the beast shape formed would be more like a bird. This was undoubtedly much more convenient. However, there were exceptions. Some people who didn't have the talent to form a bird. The 3 brothers were fast. Forests, boulders, and towering trees. Most % new chapters? UK thick vines, like horned dragons, took root and coiled around the giant rocks and towering trees. I told you, don't let me see you outside the city. Jie. The 3 brothers finally caught up to Sui. The leopard beneath their feet was like a living creature, its aura fierce. Its aura shook the area, sweeping up sand and stones. Sui stopped in his tracks. Looking at the 3 brothers, his expression calm, he said, "Catching up now? You're a bit slower than I thought." Hearing Sui's words, the 3 brothers couldn't help but stare at Sui. "Even now, you're still trying to act mysterious. Don't you know how to write the character Death? The one who's going to die is definitely you. Do you believe me?" Sui laughed calmly. Acting mysterious. You're looking to die." The 3 brothers were enraged. Their aura surged, shaking the air. "Wait a moment," Sui said to the 3 brothers. "What, now you want to beg for mercy? Kneel down and kowtow to me 3 times, and I'll only take half your life. What do you think?" The 3 brothers froze. Looking at Sui, they laughed wildly. This guy finally knew how to beg for mercy. "Wait for your helpers," said Sui coolly. "I don't want to cause any more trouble." Whoosh whoosh. As soon as Sui finished speaking, De Xiong, Xiong, and the others had already caught up. "Bastard, even if you beg for mercy today, it's useless." The 3 brothers were furious. "Trust me, you'll regret this." Sui laughed calmly. "In my dictionary, there's no such thing as regret." The 3 brothers couldn't hold back their anger any longer. "Then I can tell you responsibly that your dictionary is definitely a pirated version." Suyi's voice was as calm as the clouds and the wind. Bastard, today I'm going to smash you into a pulp, roared the three brothers. Even at this time, this fellow still dared to ridicule him, not even putting him in his eyes. His eyes flashed coldly and his aura surged. Third bro, wait, be careful. Something's not right. Second bear had a suspicious look on his face. His opponent's attitude was far too abnormal. As he called out to third bear, he also sensed that there was something off about the atmosphere. There was an inexplicable pressure, and he felt very uneasy. If I hadn't intentionally left a trail behind, do you really think you'd be able to catch up to me? You're courting death, so don't blame me. You can all die. Su Yi's eyes flashed with killing intent. He couldn't blame himself for this. Jie, bastard, your tone is a bit too arrogant. Do you really think one person can handle so many of us? The three brothers had been in a bad mood at being stopped by the two brothers. Now that they heard Su Yi's words, their fury reached its peak. But before he could finish speaking, the expression on his fierce face suddenly froze. Hiss! A golden python suddenly appeared next to Su Yi. A black rat and a red mink swaggered out to stand next to Su Yi. A silver butterfly and a jade-white bird appeared in the air. They weren't very large, but when they flapped their wings, they seemed to cause a storm. Roar! Just as everyone was flabbergasted, a thunderous tiger's roar rang out. Behind the wild bear gang, a big tiger with a long neck appeared. It roared, glaring at them like a tiger watching its prey. It opened its mouth and let out a low roar, revealing its sharp fangs. Its aura was indescribably fierce. Boom! When these 6 savage beasts appeared, 6 terrifying auras filled the air. Not good, it's savage beasts. Golden python, hell rat, white jade mystic bird, and fiery tiger. They're all at the demon spirit realm. How can there be so many demon spirit realm beasts? Not good, what do we do, gang leader? Everyone from the wild bear gang trembled in fear. How could they not sense those powerful auras? After all, they were all demon spirit realm savage beasts. Just one demon spirit realm savage beast was enough to make them suffer, not to mention 6 of them. Chapter 136. A Woo. Following Su Yi's words, the 6 savage beasts rushed out in an instant. 6 ferocious auras swept out in all directions. Run, run. These savage beasts are all his. We've been tricked. Run. Help. A woo. Rumble. Chaos ensued. The beasts' roars were like thunder. Sand and stones flew everywhere. Only now did the 3 bears from the ferocious bear gang realize that they were simply courting death. If they had known that this person had 6 terrifying savage beasts by his side, they wouldn't have dared to provoke him even if they were given 100 guts. But now it was too late for regrets. Among the dozens of ferocious bear gang members, apart from the 3 bears and 3 people who were at the first stage of Origin Spirit Realm, there were only a dozen or so at the Origin Profound Realm. The rest were all at the Origin Soul Realm. This level of cultivation wasn't enough to kill the golden python and blazing barbaric bird. Of the 3 bears and 3 people, the golden python opened its mouth and swallowed the second bear, while its tail whipped the leading bear to death. The third bear was torn apart and swallowed by the blazing barbaric tiger. In a short time, the ferocious bear gang was dealt with. Su Yi found a spatial pouch on the body of the leading bear. Presumably, the gains from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion were all in the spatial pouch. Let's go. Su Yi left with the savage beast. This wasn't a place to stay for long. He was afraid that the commotion just now would attract other people. 2 days later. In front of them was a continuous mountain range. Looking from afar, it twisted and turned. Layers upon layers of cliffs overlapped with a large canyon. The tall mountains on both sides of the canyon soared into the sky. They were like vertical swords that separated the heavens and the earth. This canyon was continuous. It wasn't just one, but many. It spiraled between the heavens and the earth. Looking at it from afar, it was very shocking. "My lord, the great barbaric demon canyon is in front," the silver spirit demonic butterfly said as it circled around Su Yi's shoulder. Great barbaric demon canyon. Su Yi gazed at the canyon in front of him. It was a vast area. Not many mercenaries and adventurers dared to casually enter this canyon. This was the path to the barbaric demon forest, a paradise for savage beasts. To humans, it was a land of death. Adventurer teams and mercenary groups wanted to kill savage beasts to obtain the resources on their bodies. The skin, hair, tendons, and bones of many savage beasts were materials for forging weapons and refining pills. However, despite knowing that there were many savage beasts in the Great Barbaric Beast Canyon, not many people dared to enter. That was because not many of the people who rushed to the Barbarian Demon Grand Canyon were able to leave safely. "Come in." Su Yi nodded. Since the Black Fiend sect was searching for him everywhere, he could only enter the Barbarian Demon Grand Canyon. In here, he would have a lot of advantages over others. Awu, the silver spirit butterfly, netherworld rat, golden python, and fire-eyed barbaric tiger roared in joy. In the outside world, with their current cultivation and strength, they wouldn't be able to obtain any training. The Great Barbaric Demon Canyon was their paradise. In the future, it would be the Barbaric Demon Forest. There were indeed many savage beasts in the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon. Not long after Su Yi entered, he encountered many savage beasts. However, these savage beasts didn't have high cultivation levels. With the golden python, fire-eyed barbaric tiger, and other powerful auras, they didn't dare to harass Su Yi. The deeper you go, the higher the cultivation level of the savage beast. It is said that there are demonic emperors in the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon. The fire-eyed barbaric tiger told Su Yi that the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon wasn't a good place. Demonic emperors. Su Yi's eyes were secretly filled with yearning. Demonic emperors were legendary existences at the demonic emperor realm. That level was too powerful. "Let's find a place. I have something for you," Su Yi said. This time, he had prepared many elixirs for the golden python and other savage beasts in the Spirit Treasure Pavilion. This was the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon, and it was much safer. If he could help the golden python and other savage beasts improve their cultivation, it would be safer. As for Su Yi himself, he wanted to temper himself in the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon so that he could break through to the profound origin realm as soon as possible. The essence soul realm was indeed too weak. The silver spirit demonic butterfly and white jade profound bird quickly found a safe place. At night, in the cave, Su Yi called out the mysterious space and had the golden python and other savage beasts enter it. In the mysterious space, Su Yi woke up the blazing barbaric bird and snow jade barbaric ape, who were healing themselves. He took out many barbarian spiritual pills and gave them to the golden python and blazing barbaric bird. "Thank you, Lord." The golden python and other savage beasts were overjoyed. Their eyes were filled with gratitude. They knew what the barbarian spiritual pills were. As savage beasts, it was almost impossible for them to obtain pills that were suitable for savage beasts. But at this moment, consuming the barbarian spiritual pills would bring them great benefit. "My lord, we want to eat too. It looks delicious." Debeo and Xiao Ling popped out, their faces gluttonous. "You guys have some too." Su Yi smiled. Naturally, he wouldn't forget about the two little fellows. He specially found pills that were suitable for the two little fellows. The barbarian spiritual pills were suitable for savage beasts in the demon spirit realm. The effect wasn't suitable for the two little fellows. He had the blazing barbaric bird and golden python take the pills and go into seclusion in the mysterious space. Su Yi was busy. He placed all the pills that he had exchanged from the spiritual treasure pavilion into the mysterious space to increase the effect of the pills. At the same time, Planting a large amount of fresh herbs required Su Yi's time. Inside the mysterious space, the area wasn't too big. After the plants were planted, they filled up the entire space. At first glance, it looked like a large medicinal field. Su Yi was in a good mood. This was a large amount of wealth. When these herbs matured, they would be worth a lot. After finishing everything, Su Yi looked at the golden python and other savage beasts that had consumed the barbarian spiritual pills and left. He hoped that after going into seclusion in the mysterious space, these savage beasts would be able to advance further. Walking out of the mysterious space, the night wind whistled outside the cave. The bright moon was in the west. It was already midnight. Awoo! Deep in the canyon, the roars of beasts could be heard from time to time. I wonder how effective the absorption of yuan stones will be. I wonder how effective the absorption of yuan stones will be. Su Yi thought of something. Cultivators were able to absorb yuan stones to cultivate. Back then, he didn't have any yuan stones. Later on, the yuan stones in the interspatial bag were all absorbed by the mysterious space. But now, it's different. There were still a lot of yuan stones left in the interspatial bag that the spiritual treasure pavilion gave him. Su Yi wanted to give it a try. It was said that when a cultivator absorbs yuan stones, their cultivation speed would increase by several fold. Taking out a yuan stone from the interspatial bag, Su Yi wanted to see if he could absorb yuan stones to cultivate. Sitting cross-legged, Su Yi placed the yuan stone on his palm and adjusted his breathing. He closed his eyes and circulated the Origin Supreme technique, intending to give it a try. Boom! The Origin Supreme technique circulated and its aura surged. Chapter 137. At this moment, the mysterious ball of light in Su Yi's mind suddenly glowed, and a devouring force gushed out. In the next instant, before Su Yi could react, the vitality stone in his palm had already turned into a pile of powder and lost its glow, just like the vitality testing stone in Barbarian City. Su Yi frowned and took out another vitality stone to try. But the result was the same. The mysterious ball of light in his mind immediately released a devouring force and directly absorbed the energy in the vitality stone. Su Yi gave up and stopped trying. Su Yi felt a little helpless. If he obtained something, he also had to give something away. Other cultivators could absorb vitality stones to increase their cultivation speed, but with this strange mysterious ball of light in his body, he couldn't rely on it to cultivate. But thinking about it carefully, Su Yi also felt that this didn't affect him. Anyway, cultivating in the mysterious space could also increase his cultivation speed. As for the mysterious space, it could also nourish spiritual herbs and produce spiritual liquids and other effects. Late at night, under the moonlight, the mountain range was deep and vast, quietly sleeping in the twilight, silently facing the sky, vast and boundless. Su Yi stood at the peak of the mountain, looking at the bright moon hanging high in the sky, feeling the tranquility of the night. Su Yi was deep in thought, his heart filled with thoughts. Since coming to this world, he had experienced a lot. In his previous life, he was mediocre and thought that he could achieve something in this world. But now, he was still hiding in this barbarian demon forest. His grandfather, who loved him the most in this world, was still heavily injured and probably wouldn't be able to hold on for many more years. Thinking about this, Su Yi couldn't help but feel emotional. He opened his mouth and recited, "Through the ages, heroes are nowhere to be found, Sun Zhongmo is there." In the dance pavilion and the singing stage, the romantic was always blown away by the rain and wind. Under the setting sun, grass and trees, ordinary alleys, where human slaves once lived. Thinking of the past, shining spears and armored horses, swallowing 10,000 miles like a tiger. Yuan Jia carelessly sealed the wolf, winning the panicked north. 43 years, I still remember, the fire of war rises on the road. Looking back, under the temple of the Buddha, a group of divine crows drum. Who asked, Lianpo is old, can he still eat? In the end, Su Yi's voice grew louder and louder, echoing in the deep night sky. At this moment, Su Yi's eyes glowed. He did not want to be like this ever again in his life. Good, 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 suddenly a voice sounded. It was faint and ancient. Who is it? Su Yi was startled. He turned around in the direction of the voice and saw that an old man had appeared behind him. The old man looked to be in his 60s. He was thin, but his figure was tall and straight. There were deep wrinkles on his neck, and he wore a black robe. His brown eyes were deep in his eye sockets, and he held a large wine gourd in his hand, which emitted a strong wine fragrance. Expert. Su Yi cautiously took 2 steps back. This person had appeared in the great barbaric demon gorge in the middle of the night, and had even appeared behind him without a sound. He was definitely an expert with unfathomable depth. From your voice, you shouldn't be very old. Don't be afraid. If you don't provoke me, I won't do anything to you. But when I heard your poem, I got a bit emotional. The old man looked coolly at Su Yi. Even through the cloak and mask, he seemed to be able to see Su Yi's nervousness. Greetings, senior. Su Yi clasped his hands in salute. Although he was still on guard, he relaxed a bit. We don't know each other, so there's no such thing as senior. Did you compose that poem yourself? The old man looked at Su Yi, his eyes filled with curiosity. I didn't compose the poem. It was just a moment of emotion. I didn't expect to disturb you, senior. Please forgive me. I'll take my leave now. Su Yi was about to leave. It was the middle of the night, and it was best to leave the great barbaric demon gorge as soon as possible. Wait, I said don't worry, so don't worry. The old man called out to Su Yi. He lifted his gourd and took a sip of wine. Then he looked at Su Yi and said, I'm actually curious to know what you're feeling. Listening to the poem, it seems you have something on your mind. Looking at the old man, Su Yi really didn't dare to casually leave. If this mysterious old man suddenly turned hostile, then he probably wouldn't even be able to defeat one of his pinky fingers. In any case, it seemed that the old man really didn't have any ill intentions. Since he didn't dare to casually leave, Su Yi decided to just let it go. He might as well take things as they come. Looking at the old man, Su Yi said, Actually, I don't have too many emotions. I just feel that life should be as grand as the rivers and seas. Life should be as splendid as the summer flowers. Death should be as beautiful as the autumn leaves. Even the flying generals of Wulong City have iron blood and cold spears. An old steed crouching in the saddle, aspiring 1,000 miles. A martyr in his twilight years, his heart is unstoppable. His treasured blade gleams with cold light, drinking blood and fighting on the battlefield. Good, good, good. The old man said the word, good, 3 times in a row. This time, he looked at Su Yi's eyes. His eyes were already filled with uncontrollable emotions. He said with some excitement, an old steed crouching in the saddle, aspiring 1,000 miles. A martyr in his twilight years, his heart is unstoppable. His treasured blade gleams with cold light, drinking blood and fighting on the battlefield. Old senior is ridiculing me. Su Yi faintly smiled. He was also feeling emotional. After coming to this strange world, he didn't want to waste his life. Young people should have great aspirations. Haha, I didn't expect to meet a young person like you in this barbaric demon forest. Take off your cloak and mask. You should be hiding from someone. However, this old man will protect you tonight. Would you like to drink a few sips with this old man? The old man looked at Su Yi. The big wine gourd in his hand was directly placed in front of Su Yi. Su Yi hesitated for a moment. Then, he directly took off his cloak and cloak. His face was not pale, but his facial features were extremely distinct. Under the moonlight, Su Yi's figure was tall and straight. Under his slender sword-like eyebrows, his eyes suddenly flashed with a bright light. They were deep and sharp. Looking at Su Yi's appearance, the old man's eyes flashed with a trace of astonishment. It was as if he didn't expect this young man in front of him to be even younger than he had imagined. The strange clothes on his back also made him take a few more glances. Good, then I won't be polite. Su Yi smiled and took the old man's wine gourd. He raised his head and took a sip. There was an inexplicable evil and arrogant temperament. This evil arrogance seemed to come from his bones. Cough! After just one mouthful of wine entered his stomach, Su Yi almost spat it out. This wine was too strong. When it entered his throat, it was like a knife cutting through it. It carried a wave of heat. It was as if his throat was about to smoke. Then, it immediately spread throughout his body. It was as if waves of heat were spreading through his body. What a strong wine! Su Yi was a little embarrassed. He didn't expect the wine to be so strong. This is good stuff. This old man spent a lot of effort to get just a little bit. After drinking it, it should be quite good for you. The old man faintly smiled. Is that so? Chapter 138. Cough, cough. After taking a big gulp of wine, Su Yi's throat seemed to be on the verge of bleeding. The burning sensation caused his entire body to turn red from neck to face. Haha, carefree and unrestrained. Not bad, kid. The old man looked at Su Yi, clearly surprised. Then he smiled faintly, and a look of praise appeared in his eyes. This kid looked greedy, but was actually free and unrestrained. He was carefree and unrestrained, and not pretentious at all. Senior, please don't laugh at me. Su Yi returned the gourd to the old man. The old man accepted it and took a sip. He looked up at the boundless night sky and mountains, his eyes shining brightly. Right and wrong, success and failure vanish in the blink of an eye. The green hills are still there. The setting sun is red, and the white-haired fisherman stands on the riverbank, accustomed to the autumn moon and the spring breeze. A pot of turbid wine brings us together. How many things, past and present, have become a joke? As his voice faded, the old man's eyes were filled with emotion. Su Yi's eyes flickered. He looked at the old man and smiled faintly. Senior's emotional outbursts doesn't match the wine at all. What do you mean? The old man looked back at Su Yi curiously. The wine is strong, but the emotional outburst is. Su Yi smiled faintly and shook his head. Forget it. I'm afraid I'll say something wrong. Just say it. The old man looked at Su Yi, a look of anticipation in his eyes. That kid is impudent. Su Yi looked at the old man. From Senior's emotional outburst, I was touched. It was as if the river of history had surged before Senior's eyes, and the mountains and rivers had once floated beneath your feet. Only, as time passed and circumstances changed, I heard a sigh, and it began to reveal a bit of heroism and sorrow. But in the end, I got used to it and became indifferent to it. After pausing for a moment, Su Yi continued, Senior is regretting that you didn't have a confidant who was willing to become an old man after fishing for you, who was willing to exchange cups with you, to drink and chat merrily with you, to grow old in the spring breeze and autumn moon. Right now, Senior should still be alone, occasionally softly singing. Just like tonight, in the long river of history, has become the passage of time. The old man had been staring at Su Yi the whole time. His brown eyes, which were sunken in his eye sockets, flickered for a moment before he calmed down. Pausing for a moment, Su Yi looked at the old man and said, I was touched. Kid, you've got some guts. Am I right? Ha ha, the old man laughed. He took a sip of wine, then tossed the gourd back to Su Yi. Right or wrong, that's not important. What's important is that I have you to drink with me tonight. That's an unexpected gain. Wonderful. It's my honor. Su Yi caught the wine gourd. He didn't hesitate and took another sip. After all, this wine was good stuff. He probably wouldn't be able to drink it again in the future. Not drinking it would be a loss. Drinking to my heart's content, singing to my heart's content, flying high and domineering, for who is the hero? A man's journey into the demon forest, I am the king of 100,000 beasts. The fierce tiger in my heart has been startled to sleep, I roar to the heavens to shake the 1,000 mountains. One sword and one saber laugh at the heavens. Tonight I'll drink to my heart's content. Sui laughed heartily. He felt the blood in his heart boiling. After coming to this strange world, from now on, life will be like summer flowers, death will be like autumn leaves. Even the flying generals of Wulong City will have an iron-blooded cold spear. Drinking to my heart's content, singing to my heart's content, flying high and domineering, for who is the hero? A man's journey into the demon forest, I am the king of 100,000 beasts. The fierce tiger in my heart has been startled to sleep, I roar to the heavens to shake the 1,000 mountains. One sword and one saber laugh at the heavens. Tonight I'll drink to my heart's content. The old man listened carefully, muttering to himself. In the end, he couldn't help but clap his hands and cheer. It seemed like he was also affected. His chest rose and fell, and his eyes shone. He could tell that this was the work of this young man. Senior, you flatter me. Sui also laughed and drank another mouthful of wine. After drinking this mouthful of wine, Sui was about to say something, but his vision became blurry. His mind began to feel dizzy. The blood in his body seemed to be burning. The hot air seemed to be burning his robes. Then he fell down. You, be careful of my wine. The old man looked at the fallen Sui. He wasn't surprised, but he was nervous about his wine. His figure was like a ghost. Before Sui had even fallen down, the wine gourd was already in his hand. Bang! Sui fell to the ground, lying on all fours on the ground. His face was as red as a fireball. The old man looked at Sui, who had collapsed beside him. His face was still smiling, and there was even praise in his eyes. He softly said, "You're only at the essence soul stage, yet you can still endure after drinking this old man's wine. Now, this is extremely rare." Suddenly, the old man's eyes changed. He saw that Suyi's body was surging with an aura. There was a radiance that spread out, covering his entire body. The aura was overbearing and majestic. Unusual. It seems that this little guy is quite special. The old man's eyes were filled with surprise. Then, he calmed down and sat on a huge rock not far from Sui. Holding the wine gourd, the old man looked at the bright moon in the sky and the vast mountain range in the distance. He took a sip from time to time. Sui felt dizzy. He felt dizzy, as if the world was spinning. Then, he lost consciousness. In a daze, Sui felt as if his body was on fire, and it was about to burn him to ashes. Following which, this blazing hot aura surged into his dantian and into his yuan qi vortex, warming up his body. Early in the morning, clouds and mist filled the air. The white mist drifted with the wind over the mountain range. Looking from afar, it looked like a flower scroll unfolding in front of one's eyes. Sui woke up. But the first thing he felt was the change in his body. He had just broken through to the 8th layer of the soul essence realm. Now, there seemed to be signs of another breakthrough. It's that wine. That's no ordinary wine. Sui immediately thought of the strong wine. It must be the effect of the strong wine. The old man said that the wine was good stuff. Not good. Thinking of the old man, Sui suddenly remembered and immediately jumped up. Sui forgot about the heavy sword on his back, and almost fell down. Fortunately, he was no longer the same as before. He staggered and didn't embarrass himself. Looking around, Sui saw that the old man was nowhere to be seen. His heart tightened and he immediately searched his clothes. All of his space bags were there. Everything on his body was normal. Sui was completely relieved. Sui didn't think too much about the old man from last night. He was a powerhouse. He could tell from the old man's words that although he had 1,000 knots in his heart, he was still a wild crane. It was normal for him to pass by this place. Perhaps he was here for the rumored blood jasper ginseng. It wasn't something he could really come into contact with, so it was normal for him to leave. Such a powerhouse would definitely not bother with a rookie like him. Chapter 139. Canyon. Rock. A black wolf that was 20 feet tall and 30 feet long stared at Sue with its ferocious eyes. Its bloody mouth emitted a bloody aura. Aolo, the black wolf roared as its body trembled. It was indescribably ferocious. Stay away, or I don't mind taking action. Sue looked at the black wolf. It was a mysterious barbaric wolf at the demon realm. A first-level demon realm cultivation wasn't much of a threat to Sue. You actually know the beast language. The mysterious barbaric wolf looked at Sue in astonishment. It was shocked that this strange human could actually understand its language. Let's go, Sue said. He felt that ever since he cultivated the primordial supreme technique, there was a strange influence. He felt that he had some sort of relationship with these barbaric beasts. So what if you know the beast language? If you're a human, then you have to die. The mysterious barbaric wolf roared as the ferocious light in its eyes did not diminish. It looked at Sue as if it was looking at its prey. It lightly stomped its feet as it prepared to pounce at any time. Since you're courting death, then I'll fulfill your wish. Sue's eyes under the mask also emitted a cold light. Since the mysterious barbaric wolf wanted to take action, then it was different. It was a good opportunity to temper himself. Oh! The mysterious barbaric wolf roared as it finally found an opportunity. Its huge body was extremely fast as it pounced forward. Boom! Wherever the mysterious barbaric wolf passed, its aura surged as if it brought about a violent whirlwind. The black light was deep and dazzling, carrying a ferocious aura. It was an earth-attributed barbaric beast. Sue's figure moved to the side as the mysterious barbaric wolf pounced in front of him. It seemed dangerous, but it just so happened that he managed to dodge the attack. At the same time, Sue clenched his right fist as his yuan qi surged and directly blasted towards the mysterious barbaric wolf. Sue took action, but he did not circulate the primordial supreme technique. He restrained his aura as he wanted to temper himself. Roar! The mysterious dark wolf's ferocious eyes blazed even brighter when its attack missed. With a low growl, it raised its hand and clawed at Sue. Sue's eyes darkened. The claws of this mysterious dark barbarian wolf were extremely sharp. His fists were made of flesh and blood after all. It was not easy for him to forcefully resist. He immediately lowered his fist and squatted down. Using the 100 swaying steps, his body instantly appeared under the abdomen of the mysterious dark barbarian wolf. Bang! The mysterious dark wolf didn't expect this human's speed to be so fast. It simply couldn't dodge. A black light suddenly condensed under its abdomen, and a low muffled sound came from below. Sue's punch contained a huge amount of energy that surged into the impact. The powerful energy caused the mysterious dark wolf's body to almost flip over. It staggered back a few steps before barely stabilizing its body. Roar! The mysterious dark savage wolf howled in pain. The pain in its abdomen was unbearable. His skin is really thick. Sue's expression was calm. The defense of this mysterious dark wolf was stronger than he had imagined. Strong defense was also a special characteristic of Earth attribute savage beasts. Just like Earth attribute martial artists, their defense was generally more outstanding. In terms of defensive cultivation methods and martial skills, Earth attribute defensive cultivation methods and martial skills were the most common. Every type of yuan qi had its own characteristic. For example, Earth attribute martial artists were outstanding in defense. Metal attribute martial artists were known for their sharpness. Wind attribute martial artists, on the other hand, had an outstanding advantage in speed. It was said that the rarer lightning attribute martial artists had an overbearing and destructive attack power, which was very powerful. Roar, the mysterious dark wolf continued to pounce, becoming more and more ferocious. But in just a short moment, this mysterious dark wolf was lying on the ground, its body covered in blood. It was directly killed by Su Yi's punch on the head. 38th. Looking at the mysterious dark wolf lying on the ground, Su Yi was already very calm. In these 5 days, Su Yi had already killed the 58th savage beast. The grand barbaric demon canyon was indeed filled with savage beasts. The strongest one that Su Yi encountered was already at the 4th level of the demon profound realm. It took him a lot of effort to kill it. On the other hand, the most number of savage beasts Su Yi encountered during these 5 days was a total of 13 blazing barbaric rat. Even though there were many of them, fortunately, their cultivations weren't high. However, they were extremely strange and ever-changing, and he was only able to kill all of them while being surrounded by danger. In these 5 days, Su Yi did not use the Origin Supreme technique when facing the savage beasts, so as to not affect them. Gu #G #G #O now that he had reached the peak of the 8th level of the Soul Essence realm, Su Yi wanted to properly temper himself, so that he could break through to the 9th level of the Soul Essence realm as soon as possible, then break through to the Profound Origin realm. This time, Su Yi turned around and entered the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon to temper himself. In these few days, Su Yi also encountered a few groups of humans, both male and female. However, when he saw those humans from afar, Su Yi avoided them. Those who dared to enter the Grand Barbaric Demon Canyon would not have weak cultivation. Furthermore, because of the Blood Jasper spiritual ginseng, many people probably knew about it and might be here for the Blood Jasper spiritual ginseng. Su Yi knew that his cultivation was far from enough. Although Su Yi also wanted the Blood Jasper spiritual ginseng to heal his grandfather, it was better for him not to join in the fun in the current situation. In the boundless canyon, the cliff was steep. Roar, the low growls were deafening. Dozens of savage beasts stood there and stared at the group of 20 or so people in a small valley with their ferocious eyes. The dozens of savage beasts were indescribably ferocious. There were giant pythons entrenched in the ground, and savage beasts stepping on huge rocks. There were even several savage beasts circling in the air, eyeing the valley covetously. Among the 20-plus people, there were both males and females. There were a few men and women in their 30s leading them, but most of them were young boys and girls. Their auras and clothes were extraordinary, and they were about the same age, about 16 or 17 years old. If Su Yi were here, he would definitely see many familiar faces. They were Bai Ling, Yiyun, Guiyan, Zhouda and company from the Taixing sect. However, at this moment, these young boys and girls had serious and nervous expressions. These young boys and girls held their weapons tightly in their hands, forming a tight circle around each other. There were faint bloodstains on Yiyun's patterned brocade dress. His beautiful black hair was scattered and messy. Despite his nervous expression, his beautiful eyes were still sparkling. Bai Ling was close to Yiyun. Her eyes on her oval-shaped face were lively, and she had a charming charm. Her aura was fluctuating. "Deacon, when will the elders arrive? There are so many savage beasts we can't fight them all. There are too many savage beasts, what should we do now?" Many of the young boys and girls were unable to remain calm. Many of these savage beasts were at the Fey Spirit realm, and the two leading them were even at the Fey True realm. "We have already informed the elders. Everyone, act according to the situation. The elders should be arriving soon," a woman in her 30s said. She was dressed in a tight dress, and her figure was curvy. She could not be considered beautiful, but she had a pretty face. Chapter 140. However, at this moment, the girl was also secretly solemn. Although she was comforting the disciples, she knew that if the elders didn't arrive in time, everyone would be doomed. A joint attack. Everyone, be careful. A young man spoke. He looked to be in his 30s and held a long spear in his hand. His eyes shone brightly, but his expression was as solemn as the girl beside him. The man knew that many of these savage beasts were at the demon spirit realm. The leading black panther and the red bird circling in the air were both at the demon true realm. Judging from their auras, the leading black panther and red bird were probably at the 6th or 7th level of the demon true realm or above. With so many savage beasts, they were no match for them. Aowo! On top of a towering boulder in the valley, a huge black panther raised its head and roared. Its roar shook the void as its body emitted a black light and its aura swept across the valley. Aolo! Instantly, the surrounding beasts roared like thunder. One by one, the savage beasts roared in unison and pounced towards the valley. Rumble! Dozens of savage beasts galloped as their auras exploded. The ground trembled as if there was an earthquake as their ferocious auras swept towards them. Guji, in the sky, there were several birds that flapped their wings and swooped down. Such a formation made the young disciples of the Taixing sect turn pale as their hearts were filled with fear. Be careful, attack with all your might. Watch your heads. Several young men and women of the Taixing sect spoke. Yuan Qi formed under their feet and condensed into birds as they soared into the sky. Yuan Qi surged as they swung their weapons to block the bird. Pay attention to your defenses. An expert took the lead and rushed out to block the savage beasts that were pouncing towards them. Rumble! In an instant, Yuan Qi surged as a thunderous boom shook the valley. Although the young man and woman leading the group were only in their 30s, their cultivation and strength were not weak. A terrifying aura erupted from their every movement. In an instant, various Yuan Qi lights intertwined and blazed. Several auras seemed to have surpassed the origin spirit realm. Aolo! Several young experts of the Taixing sect attacked and overturned a bird and several savage beasts. Blood splattered everywhere. Facing so many savage beasts, everyone attacked without holding back. Roar! On the huge rock, the black panther let out a low roar. Black light surged and it immediately leaped down. With just 2 leaps, it pounced down with a terrifying aura. The man who spoke clenched his teeth. The spear in his hand was sharp and emitted a green light. The tip of the spear was filled with origin energy that wanted to break open the void and block the Black Panther. Roar! The Black Panther seemed to be fearless in the face of the sharp long spear. As it swung its claws downwards, black light surged from the center of its claws. It seemed to have condensed into a black scale as it directly pressed downward. Crack, crack! Under this kind of collision, the man's spear instantly shattered, as if it had suffered an enormous force of 10,000 kilograms. His body was also instantly blasted away, and he staggered backwards before heavily smashing into the ground. Low in the air, a delicate and beautiful woman let out a miserable shriek. She was also sent flying by a ferocious bird. The Yuan Qi beneath her feet dissipated as she fell heavily to the ground. Pucci! The 2 of them crashed to the ground, and blood immediately spurted out from their mouths. They had suffered heavy injuries from a single strike. Bam, 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 bam. At the same time, the other savage beasts and the Taixing sect disciples also collided with each other. Instantly, a muffled sound like thunder, and some of them were directly sent flying. However, these young disciples of the Taixing sect did not panic. Instead, they joined forces to defend themselves, and they managed to slow down the momentum of the dozens of savage beasts. Roar! The Black Panther landed on the ground, but it was still staring at the man who had fallen to the ground. Its eyes were filled with killing intent, and its sharp claws slashed down. The fierce wind wreaked havoc, and wherever it passed, cracks appeared on the ground. Not good, the man's eyes trembled. Although he had also reached the Yuan True Realm, this Black Panther was at the 6th level of the Yao True Realm. He had only recently stepped into the Yuan True Realm, and he knew that he was no match for it. HNKH version El hair bastard, you're courting death. A fierce roar sounded, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of the man. A palm print was sent out, and it landed on the Black Panther's claws like a ghost. Boom! The energy clashed, and the Yuan Qi light burst out. The black light on the Black Panther's claws was shattered, and then the claws cracked. Blood splattered, and its huge body directly fell to the ground. Whoosh! The figure did not stop. Suddenly, a treasure sword appeared in his hand, and a sword light flew out, piercing through the void, and slashed towards the savage beast that was pouncing on the beautiful and curvaceous woman. Whoosh! The sword light seemed to have materialized, and it pierced through the void as fast as lightning. The savage beast could not avoid it at all. It spread its wings to attack, but the sword light cut through it, and one of its wings was cut off. Blood splattered, and it immediately fell to the ground. The two leading Yao True Realm savage beasts were unable to withstand a single blow. Whoosh 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 whoosh! The figure did not stop. His figure was like lightning, and he shuttled through the valley. In the blink of an eye, a few more sword lights were sent out. A few powerful savage beasts were beheaded, and blood splattered everywhere as they fell to the ground. Bai Ling waved the treasure sword in her hand, and she was fighting with a savage wolf. She was surrounded by danger, and her face was solemn. Whoosh! A sword light flew, and the savage wolf fell to the ground. A figure immediately appeared beside Bai Ling. It was a middle-aged man with a slender figure, handsome face, and long hair. When he was young, he must have been a handsome man. When she saw the man in front of her, Bai Ling's solemn face immediately revealed a look of surprise, and she said, "Second uncle. Are you all right?" Bai Zhangqian smiled, and with a backhand slash, another savage beast that was fighting with Yun not far away fell into a pool of blood again. "Second uncle, I'm fine. But if you hadn't come, we would have been in big trouble." Bai Ling's heart was still beating fast. Fortunately, her second uncle had arrived in time. "Elder Bai is here. Great Elder Bai is here." With Bai Zhangqian's appearance, there were cheers from all around. "Kill." Bai Zhangqian's figure moved horizontally again, and he arrived in front of the heavily injured savage beast leader. His body rose into the air, and there was no Yuan Qi under his feet. He stood in the air, and with a slash of his sword, the savage beast was instantly killed. In a few moves, the two leading savage beasts were killed, and the savage beast experts at the front were also taken care of, and they all fell into a pool of blood. The remaining savage beasts were not stupid. They were terrified, and in an instant they fled in panic. Elder Bai. As the savage beasts fled in panic, the heavily injured young man and the delicate and curvaceous woman also came to Bai Zhangqian's side. Their eyes were filled with surprise, but there was still a lingering fear. Elder Bai. Chapter 141. The elder in front of him was the youngest inner sect elder in the Taixing sect in the past 1,000 years. His cultivation was unfathomable, and it was rumored that he had already stepped into the Origin Emperor realm. Even in the entire continent of the One Mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 factions, they were all famous existences. When they were young, they were already the top existences of their generation. Their talent was unparalleled. Those who are injured need to recover as soon as possible. Bai Zhangqian looked at the disciples around him and frowned. There were a few who were heavily injured, and many who had light injuries. The remaining few who weren't injured were all panting and in a sorry state. Elder Bai, we have only been in the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon for a few days. How did a demon true realm savage beast appear? The heavily injured young man asked. According to the information he received, although the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon was the passage to the Barbaric Demon Forest, only the depths of the Barbaric Demon Forest would have demon true realm savage beast experts. But now, they had only reached the periphery of the great barbaric demon canyon, and they had already encountered a demon true realm savage beast expert. All of this should be related to a demon emperor, Bai Zhangqian said. The sword in his hand disappeared, and he raised his eyebrows. Demon emperor! Hearing these two words, the Taixing sect disciples couldn't help but tremble. Demon emperor realm. That was too powerful. When the time came, only Elder Bai would be able to contend against it. They wouldn't even have the qualifications to be affected. The blood jade spirit ginseng appeared in the great barbaric demon canyon. The demon emperors closest to this place should have already sensed it. They also want the blood jade spirit ginseng. That's why so many savage beasts appeared in the great barbaric demon canyon. Bai Zhangqian's eyes narrowed. With his status in the Taixing sect, it wasn't difficult for him to get a Huang-grade medicinal pill. But this time, he had some use for the blood jade spirit ginseng. Moreover, it was a blood jade spirit ginseng that had unlocked its intelligence. But now, there were already demon emperor realm demonic beasts that had sensed it. There were also other experts who were searching for the blood jade spirit ginseng in the great barbaric demon canyon. It seemed that it wouldn't be easy for anyone to obtain the blood jade spirit ginseng. Second uncle, is the news about the blood jade spirit ginseng true? Bai Ling said. Second uncle had already entered the great barbaric Yao Canyon a few days in advance, so he should have confirmed the news of the blood jade spirit ginseng. Speaking of the blood jade spirit ginseng, she couldn't help but think of that strange young man. He seemed to be very interested in the blood jade spirit ginseng. He wouldn't be in the great barbaric Yao Canyon right now, right? Zhou De Guiyan and the others still hated him to the core. 1. The news about the blood jade spirit ginseng should be true. It has already reached the demon illusionary realm. It knows that many experts are looking for it, so it has gone into hiding, said Bai Zhangqian. Elder, the blood jasper spirit ginseng seems to be very good at hiding. It won't be easy to find it, asked a strong cultivator from the Taixing clan. A spirit medicine like the blood jade spirit ginseng was born with the ability to hide. It was not easy to find it. That's not necessarily true. Bai Zhangqian smiled and said, according to the news from various sources, although the blood jade spirit ginseng has broken through to the demon illusionary realm, it was disturbed when it broke through. It hasn't succeeded yet. Calculating the time, if the blood jade spirit ginseng doesn't pass the tribulation in the next few days, its demon illusionary realm cultivation will directly regress. If it wants to break through again next time, it will be even more difficult. After pausing for a moment, Bai Zhangqian's expression changed slightly. He sighed and said, so, no matter what, the blood jade spirit ginseng will appear in the next few days. At that time, there will be a fierce battle. After a while, on the towering mountain peak, the disciples of the Taixing clan took medicinal pills and began to heal their injuries and adjust their breathing. The young leaders of the Taixing clan were even more injured. After taking medicinal pills, they sat down cross-legged and began to circulate their cultivation technique. Light surged around their bodies and spread out. Their auras were astonishing. Bai Zhangqian was guarding the disciples of the Taixing clan. This time, he received news about the blood jade spirit ginseng, so he came to the great barbarian demon canyon. It just so happened that a group of Taixing clan's direct disciples needed to go out and temper themselves. This responsibility was passed to him. There could not be any accident. This was the foundation of the Taixing clan. In a few decades, these young disciples would grow into the backbone of the Taixing clan. Second uncle, are we going to go deeper into the great barbarian demon canyon? Bai Ling was not in a hurry to heal her injuries. Her injuries were not serious. She went to Bai Zhangqian and asked, according to the level of the savage beasts they had encountered today, if they went deeper, they would encounter even stronger savage beasts. Bai Zhangqian smiled. He had loved this niece of his since she was young. He handed a medicinal pill to Bai Ling and said, Just wait here for a few days. Thank you, second uncle. Bai Ling did not stand on ceremony. She pursed her lips and smiled. Ever since she was young, her relationship with this second uncle was even better than her relationship with her father. Heal your injuries. If the blood jade spirit ginseng appears, you guys should stay as far away as possible. With your cultivation base, you won't be able to do anything. Bai Zhangqian looked ahead, his eyes deep. The blood jade spirit ginseng won't dare to go into the barbarian demon forest. Then it's very likely that it will only be around here. The forest was in a mess. The towering trees were broken, and a fierce bear that was no less than 2 zhang tall was lying on the ground. Its thick skin and thick flesh were flowing with blood. Its body was covered with numerous knife scars that were so deep that the bones could be seen. Blood was flowing everywhere. 208. Su Yi put away his blade. After 10 days, he had already killed 208 savage beasts in the Great Barbarian Demon Canyon. However, during these 10 days, Su Yi did not go too deep into the Great Barbarian Demon Canyon. The level of the savage beasts inside was getting higher and higher. Su Yi even encountered several demon spirit realm savage beasts. Facing a demon spirit realm savage beast, Su Yi had no chance of winning. He could only use the Origin Supreme Art to scare the savage beasts away. Su Yi finally understood why those mercenary groups and adventurers didn't dare to rashly enter the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon. If it wasn't for the fact that Primordial Chaos Sovereign seemed to have a deterrent effect on the savage beasts, he wouldn't have been able to last until now in the Great Barbaric Demon Canyon. During these 10 days, Su Yi tempered himself during the day. He practiced the Mad Dragon's 3 blades, the 7 injuring fist, and other martial arts. Occasionally, he would use the broken heavy sword on his back to practice. Of course, he did not forget to practice the art of driving the heavens. Su Yi had always valued the identity of a soul controller. However, in the barbarian demon forest, the identity of a soul controller was not very suitable. Su Yi knew that what he lacked the most right now was the most basic training. At night, Su Yi searched for a place to enter the mysterious space to cultivate. Chapter 142. But this kind of tempering life and death trials, and crisis after crisis brought Su Yi an incomparable feeling and experience. The harvest was huge. Night stars dotted the sky. Ancient vines densely covered the canyon. In the hidden crevice, light filled the air, and the aura was boundless. In the mysterious space, rich energy fluctuated. Su Yi took off his cloak and mask, sat cross-legged, and condensed a hand seal. His whole body seemed to be enveloped in a layer of divine brilliance. For some unknown reason, Su Yi's skin was still as warm as jade, giving off a kind of translucent feeling. However, there was an additional sharpness to his face. Like a blade, there was no blood, but it made people feel the bloody aura. Roar! At some unknown time, the roar of a beast came from the mysterious space, and an astonishing aura spread out, shaking people's souls. Cliff, broken wall. The moonlight was like gauze, enveloping the wilderness, and the distant mountain range was hazy. Looking from afar, it looked like a creeping, fierce beast. A dozen figures appeared on the broken wall, and the aura on their bodies was fierce. If Su Yi was here at this moment, he would probably recognize 2 familiar figures. They were Elder Bai and Elder Yu of the Black Fiend sect. But at this moment, Elder Bai and Elder Yu were standing behind a black-clothed old man with a respectful expression. The black-clothed old man had an eagle nose and a wide forehead. His complexion was as white as a woman's, and his eyes flickered with a sharp light. Wait, the blood jasper spirit ginseng won't be able to hide for long. It will come out to face the tribulation, otherwise its realm will regress, and it will be even more difficult to break through in the future. The eagle nose and wide forehead black-clothed old man's voice was faint. Elder Yi, The people of the Wild Dragon Mercenary Alliance and the Blood God sect have also come. I'm afraid they are also here for the Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng, Elder Bai said with a slightly serious expression. With the participation of the Wild Dragon Mercenary Alliance and the Blood God sect, the difficulty of fighting for the Blood Jasper Spirit Ginseng had undoubtedly increased by a lot. We have received news that they have come. This is not strange. I'm afraid there are also people from many other forces who have come. The black-clothed old man called Elder Ye's expression did not change, but the gaze in his eyes became a little sharper. Under the moonlight, a special kind of fog filled the air. It was suffused with wisps of blood-red color, making the bright moon in the sky look like a blood moon. At this moment, there were several figures standing on top of the cliff. Under the moonlight, several figures were surrounded by a kind of faintly discernible blood-colored radiance, suffused with an inexplicable bloody aura. The Black Fiend sect, the Mercenary Alliance, and many other experts are all nearby. It seems they've all sensed the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng. In front of several figures, a middle-aged man in a dark red robe with long black hair draped over his shoulders said in a low voice as he looked at the bright moon in the sky with a faint blood-red glow in his eyes. "Oh!" At the top of the mountain, a low and deep beast roar echoed out. Several huge flying beasts landed on a towering tree at the top of the mountain. Their ferocious eyes were like copper bells as they scanned the surroundings. Dozens of figures stood at the top of the mountain. The invisible fierce aura made the surrounding air tense for no reason. This is interesting. The Black Fiend sect and the Blood God sect have also arrived. There are also many other people nearby. Looks like a fierce battle is inevitable, someone said in a loud and clear voice. Walala! In the mysterious space there was a dazzling light. Su-Yi was sitting cross-legged. He did not know when it started, but the aura on his body was continuously increasing. Rumble! Within Su-Yi's body, the Dantian's primal chi whirlpool was filled with primal chi. The primal chi whirlpool spun like a storm, emitting a low rumbling sound like wind and thunder. This continued for an unknown period of time. Su-Yi's aura had already reached a new peak, as if it would erupt at any time. Bang! After a brief moment of silence, a muffled sound came from the Yuan Qi vortex in Su-Yi's Dantian. It was accompanied by a wave of heaven and earth energy that suddenly surged from the surroundings. The vibration caused his hair to flutter and his clothes to flutter. The aura on his body also rose to a new level. At this moment, if there was an outsider present, they would definitely be shocked. The aura of a 9th-level soul essence realm martial artist was actually this powerful. Even a 1st-level soul essence realm martial artist would not be able to compare. After a long while, the powerful aura around Su-Yi's body began to slowly calm down. Finally, it completely calmed down. Chi-Chi. When the aura on his body had completely calmed down, Su-Yi, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes. From his eyes, a dazzling light that seemed to have materialized exploded. Boom! At the same time, a new aura from Su-Yi's body seemed to have awakened. It swept out instantly, carrying a great majestic and destructive power. His aura calmed down, and the light in his eyes flashed. Then, it gradually converged into tenacity and depth. 9th-level soul essence realm. When everything calmed down, the corners of Su-Yi's mouth curled up slightly, and he couldn't help but smile. The heavens did not disappoint those who worked hard. This period of tempering had paid off in the most practical manner. The 9th level of the Essence Soul Realm. From the looks of it, it would not be too long before he reached the Origin Profound Realm. Su-Yi was very satisfied when he sensed the aura and changes within his body. Compared to an 8th-layer Essence Soul Realm cultivator, his combat strength should have risen by a level. The abundant Yuan power in his body and the comfortable spiritual strength in his mind gave him an incomparable sense of enjoyment and satisfaction. All positive, version J, initial U, a roar. Lord. Several savage beasts appeared in front of Su-yi. They were the fire gold tiger, the scarlet flame demon mink, the snow jade savage ape, the fiery savage bird, and the netherworld rat. Did you guys break through again? Su-yi looked at the 3 savage beasts in front of him. He felt that the aura of the 5 savage beasts seemed to have improved compared to when they first entered. Many thanks to Master for the elixir. We all broke through a level. The netherworld rat squeaked with joy. The 5 savage beasts had broken through another level. Good. Su-yi nodded in satisfaction. The elixir he bought was not in vain. Sweeping his gaze, Su-yi discovered that the golden python, silver spirit butterfly, white jade profound bird, and the others had yet to awaken. Their bodies were filled with light. Even Dabeo and Xiao Ling were still enveloped in a strange light, and their auras were fluctuating. Consume the spiritual liquid and continue your seclusion. Su-yi ordered the fiery savage tiger and the others to consume the spiritual liquid from the mysterious space. Although the fiery savage tiger and the others had broken through another level, from what Su-yi had come into contact with recently, the savage beasts in the barbaric demon Grand Canyon were getting stronger and stronger. The fiery savage tiger and the snow jade savage ape's cultivation were still lacking. Chapter 143. $Q. A few hours later, on a cliff in a vast mountain valley, there were several towering trees that looked like ancient pines. They were verdant and ancient, like coiling dragons. At the bottom of the cliff, there was a green spirit herb that was flowing with a sparkling luster and exuding a tempting fragrance. Green profound grass. Su-yi appeared at the bottom of the cliff, his eyes shining. The green profound grass was a very high-level spirit herb. It was the main material used to refine many moon-grade high-tier elixirs. Its entire body was green and dazzling. It was born by absorbing the spirit energy of heaven and earth. It was very rare. My luck is good. Su-yi was very satisfied. He had picked a lot of spirit herbs along the way, but it was the first time he had picked a spirit herb like green profound grass. Su-yi immediately prepared to climb up the cliff and pluck it. Suddenly, just as Su-yi was about to reach the green profound grass, he felt his body tighten and his hair stand on end. Who is it? At the same time, Su-yi abruptly raised his head and discovered that a figure had appeared above and was looking down at him. Su-yi saw a young girl, about 14 or 15 years old, with snow-white skin and pink skin that seemed to be able to squeeze water out of her skin. The young girl's temperament was as elegant as an orchid. Her black hair danced in the wind, exuding a fragrance. Her waist was slender, and her limbs were long and slender. She had the temperament of a fairy. However, when the young girl looked at Su-yi, her eyes made Su-yi's heart turn cold, as if it was covered in frost, and the blood in his body began to fluctuate. What are you looking at? The young girl spoke, staring at Su-yi. Her eyes that caused Su-yi's heart to be shrouded in frost for no reason, had a smile in them. Her red lips seemed to be smiling, and her long hair flowed down to her slender waist, fluttering in the wind. She exuded a unique fragrance, as if she was a fairy left behind in this ancient canyon. Because you're good-looking, Su-yi replied. This was the truth. Although this little girl's appearance was not necessarily better than Lu Ruoshi, Bai Ling, and the other girls, her temperament and inexplicable smell were unforgettable. It was very impactful. Is that so? I also think I'm good-looking. The young girl smiled faintly. Her smile was alluring. Boom! However, at the same time that the young girl smiled, she stomped her foot down and a surge of profound energy surged. Immediately, the cliff collapsed and the cracks climbed up. The surrounding rocks were like a flash flood as they surged towards Su-yi with a rumbling sound. This was too sudden. The rocks on the surrounding mountain walls weighed at least a few dozen kilograms, while the heavier ones weighed hundreds and thousands of kilograms. There was no lack of boulders that weighed more than 10,000 kilograms. The young girl on the cliff had caused the entire mountain to collapse with a single stomp of her foot. She wanted to smash Sui down, which proved that her strength was not ordinary. Sui did not expect this young girl to be so sinister and vicious. Crash, the surrounding mountain collapsed, and huge rocks rolled. The momentum was extremely shocking. Sui did not care about the Qing Xian grass. He used the Xiao 100 transformation steps, and the qi in his body surged. Suddenly, his figure jumped in the chaotic world. Suyi's body quickly dodged. Although he avoided many huge rocks, he could not avoid being hit by many small rocks. Rumble! Amidst the tumbling rocks, Sui was in a sorry state. Even his cloak and mask had been smashed off, and his body had taken several hits. If Suyi's body was not strong and he had the qi to protect his body, he would have been in a terrible situation. Even so, Suyi's hair was disheveled, and his face was bruised and swollen. At this moment, the young girl on the cliff had already plucked the Qing Xian grass. She looked at Sui, who had fallen down the cliff, with a slightly surprised expression. He seemed to have noticed it earlier and was surprised that Sui was able to avoid so many falling rocks so easily. However, when she saw Sui, whose cloak and mask were smashed, the young girl's eyes lit up with a special light. She said, "I really did not expect to meet you here. You were the one who killed that Yo Hikami from the Black Fiend sect, right?" Sui was about to argue with the young girl, but when he heard this, his expression suddenly tensed up. It seemed that the Black Fiend sect's bounty was quite effective. He was already in the Barbarian Demon Grand Canyon, but he was still recognized. "You've got the wrong person. There might also be experts from the Black Fiend sect here." Sui did not want to cause trouble, and did not plan to argue. It was better to escape first. "How could I be wrong? I've seen your portrait. It said that the Black Fiend sect's bounty was not able to capture you, and you escaped several times. It seems that you have some strength," the young girl said indifferently. She was sure that he was Sui, and her eyes curiously sized up Sui. "I said you've got the wrong person." Sui shook his head. He did not want to be entangled and planned to leave. "You want to leave?" Seeing that Sui was about to leave, the young girl raised her eyes and stomped her foot again. This time, the young girl's foot seemed to be stronger than the previous one. Yuan Qi surged, and a large area of the cliff cracked. The surrounding rocks tumbled down, and with a rumbling sound, they covered the sky and covered the earth as they fell towards Sui, as if they wanted to drown Sui. "Little bitch, I'm not done with you." Sui was angry. This young girl was not old, but she was really vicious and merciless. However, Sui did not have time to think. Yuan Qi surged under his feet, and he used the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps, constantly dodging the huge rocks. In the end, relying on the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps and some luck, Sui finally rushed out of the area covered by the falling rock. However, it was inevitable that his face was even more bruised and swollen, and he looked even more miserable. "Seems like your movement technique is not bad." At the same time, the young girl's figure appeared like a ghost not far from Suyi's side. She stood on a huge rock, secretly blocking Suyi's path. Her eyes curiously sized up Sui, and for no reason, an aura fluctuated, causing people's hearts to tremble. "Right, what do you mean by little bitch?" the young girl asked. This was the first time she had heard it, but he could guess that it was not a good thing. "It means you're very beautiful," Sui said unhappily, his heart on guard. This girl's origin was mysterious. He did not know if she had a strong backer, or if she was strong herself. But no matter which of these two reasons it was, Sui knew that it was extremely unfavorable for him. "Really? But I don't believe it. Then are you a little bitch?" The young girl's eyes were harmless, and she looked at Sui seriously. Sui was stunned, and then he replied unhappily. So this girl was teasing him. He immediately cursed, "You're the little bitch, your whole family are little bitches." Chapter 144. The girl stared at Sue, her expression becoming a bit colder. Her slender and graceful body slowly emitted powerful fluctuations, and a terrifying aura surged forward like a wave. Sue's face immediately became gloomy, and his eyes became sharp and deep. Since he couldn't avoid it, he could only go all out. This girl didn't seem very old. As a dignified man, and a reborn man at that, could it be that he really couldn't beat a little girl? Unspecified currency genuine first release. I'll let you make the first move, so you won't say I'm bullying you. The girl looked at Sue's disheveled hair and swollen face. She seemed very magnanimous, and wanted to have a fair fight. She didn't want to take advantage of Sue, so she let Sue make the first move. Sue didn't make a move. He was vigilant. This little girl was very strange, and he didn't know her true goal. What are you waiting for? If I make a move, you won't even have the strength to fight back. The young girl looked at Sue and said seriously, but there was a hint of disdain and arrogance in her eyes. Little bitch, I have no enmity with you, and I don't want the azure profound grass anymore. Why do you have to make a move? If you keep causing trouble like this, aren't you afraid that when you grow up, no man will want you? Sue's face darkened, and his expression was very unsightly. The girl stood on the rock, stunned. Her beautiful face was a bit dazed. What was this little brat saying? He actually dared to ridicule her, and even dared to curse her. You're the little bitch. You actually dare to curse me? The girl couldn't bear it any longer. Her yuan qi surged, shaking the ground. Her graceful figure seemed to be too weak to even stand up to a gust of wind, but who knew how much power it contained? It swept up the surrounding sand and stones, and a scarlet light surged, emitting a blazing color. Then it swept toward Sue. The girl was furious. When had anyone dared to ridicule her like this, and even said that no man would want her in the future? In her heart, other than a man like her father, no man under the heavens was worthy of her. Let me see if you have the strength to kill Yo Hikami. The girl shouted, and in a flash jumped down from the rock. A scarlet aura like a wave, blazing and astonishing, instantly rushed toward Sue. In the blink of an eye, the girl's beautiful figure appeared in front of Sue. Her slender and fair fingers clenched into a fist. Her fist was wrapped in blazing fire attribute yuan qi, and she directly blasted it towards Sue. This punch was very powerful, bringing with it a blazing storm. Sand and stones flew in all directions, dust surged, and a lot of gravel flew up. Very fast and very strong. Sue was very surprised. This girl was so young, but her strength was so strong. Out ats out see. Outs originally battered, his out black ants his originally, his sats bruised and swollen black, his face messy black hairs outs, and it. Overlord fist. Knowing the girl's strength, Sue did not dare to be careless. With a shout in his heart, he directly activated the Overlord fist. Sue shook his arm and clenched it into a fist. Within his fist, a terrifying yuan qi power erupted like a volcano. Light shone brightly, and it seemed as if his fist had swelled up. There was a clear sound of wind and thunder, like the sound of thunder rumbling. It was as if an overlord had awakened, and an emperor had descended. In the next moment the two fists collided. There was a feeling of the surrounding space fluctuating, and an unusually violent energy suddenly exploded when Sue and the girl's fists collided. Bang bang! A huge gust of wind formed a wave of air, and like a storm, it directly shot out. The wind swept out, and like a storm, it produced a muffled and astonishing sound, like a thunderclap exploding. Thump thump! Upon contact, Sue's footsteps staggered, and he was directly shaken back more than 10 steps. The gravel under his feet was also crushed into powder. As for the girl, she only took a small step back, but her eyes were already filled with shock. Then, the girl's eyes suddenly widened, and she immediately stepped forward. Her figure was very fast, and her delicate hands were forming a handprint, which was quickly intertwined with yuan qi fluctuations. Seeing the girl come at him again in an instant, Su Yi's figure had not yet stabilized, and naturally could not dodge again. However, Su Yi was not afraid. The eyes under his sword-like eyebrows were shining, and a scarlet light had unknowingly gushed out. That domineering and majestic aura was becoming more and more intense. That kind of aura seemed to make the girl feel a strange aura, and she was inwardly moved. However, the girl's hand movements did not stop. A handprint condensed, emitting light like a burning flame, and directly slapped towards Su Yi's chest. Su Yi's expression did not change, and he quickly made a move. Fire attribute yuan qi erupted, and like the former, it was as if a flame had spread in front of the handprint. Around the handprint, the blazing aura made the surrounding air seem to be burning, causing people's skin to burn and their hair to stand on end. Scarlet flame palm. Su Yi also met it with a palm. Thump! The two palms collided again, and suddenly a muffled explosion sounded. Walala, a huge blazing airflow was compressed, and then it expanded, exploding like a bomb. An aura like a small volcanic eruption exploded, and the airflow was like a small tornado surging. Thump! This time, Su Yi was even more miserable. That blazing force swept out, and his body was directly shaken back. Puff! It seemed that because of the weight of the 1,000-pound broken sword on his back, he fell to the ground less than 10 feet away. The qi and blood in his body were in turmoil, and he could not help but spit out a strand of blood from the corner of his mouth. So you're only at the essence soul realm. The young girl knew Su Yi's cultivation level. Just now, Su Yi had used all his strength, and the aura of a 9th-level essence soul realm cultivator was not held back. As her voice fell, the young girl's charming face did not change, and there was a playful smile on her face. In an instant, she followed Su Yi to his side. The young girl quickly made a move, and the palm of her hand changed. There was a flash of light, and the aura was blazing. Then, several rays of light instantly enveloped Su Yi. Swish, swish, several rays of light fell, and the yuan qi in Su Yi's body suddenly stagnated. Before he could react, he was captured. Boy, did you really kill Yohikami? It seems unlikely. The young girl was a little skeptical. Yohikami's strength did not seem to be so low. I already said that I'm not, Su Yi said, feeling very sullen in his heart. But at this time, he could only pretend to be a coward. Falling into the hands of others, he seemed to have no other choice. You're so dishonest, so you shouldn't be a good person. Yohikami is arrogant and insufferably arrogant, so he might have fallen into your hands, the young girl said. She had her own opinion, and did not believe Su Yi's words at all. What do you want? Su Yi felt even more sullen. Don't worry, I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you, the young girl said very seriously. But just like time, on that beautiful face of hers, there was a trace of craftiness in those harmless eyes. She leaned down and searched Su Yi's clothes for a while, and took out all of Su Yi's space bags. Oh, you actually have so many space bags. As expected, you're not a good person. I'm just doing justice for the heavens and getting rid of evil for the people. Chapter 145. It was obvious that Su Yi wasn't the only one with so many spatial bags. This was the barbarian demon forest. Everyone knew where these spatial bags came from. The girl was like a female bodhisattva. With a serious and compassionate look on her face, she took Su Yi's spatial bags without any hesitation. Then, she looked at Su Yi and said seriously, I've sealed your meridians. It should be undone in a day or two. If you don't encounter any savage beasts, you should be able to live. If you do, then even if the heavens want to destroy you, I won't be able to save you. It all depends on whether you're a good person or a bad person." As soon as she finished speaking, the young girl smiled and left in satisfaction. "Don't fall into my hands. Don't let me see you again," Sui cursed. How could this girl be so shameless? She was so serious about being shameless. The girl didn't pay any attention to Sui. Her beautiful figure gradually disappeared from Sui's sight. Sui felt helpless. He was under the control of others. Although there were several powerful savage beasts in the mysterious space, he couldn't summon them in time. At this moment, Sui was sealed by the restriction. He couldn't summon the mysterious space. Boom! After the girl left, Sui began to activate the Origin Supreme technique. He began to break the restriction in his body. It was the same in the Black Fiend's sex mine. Sui was familiar with it. However, if Sui wanted to break the seal now, it would take some time. Time slowly passed. Everything in the surroundings became quiet. It was as if nothing had happened. Only Sui was thrown to the ground. He was breaking the restriction in his body. Sui felt very sullen. His heart ached even more. All of his spatial bags had been plundered by the girl, including the remaining primeval stones from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. Sui couldn't bear to let the mysterious space absorb those primeval stones. He wanted to keep them with him in case he needed them. If he had known this would happen, he would have let the mysterious space absorb them. Thinking of this, Sui's heart ached even more. It was Sui who had been robbing others. It wasn't easy for him to accumulate some wealth after a narrow escape. But now, all of his accumulated wealth had been plundered by someone else. And it was plundered by a little girl. The more Sui thought about it, the angrier he became. "Little liar. When I see you again, I'll strip you naked and feed you to the savage beasts." Sui's heart. But on second thought, Sui thought, why did he have to strip her naked and feed her to the beasts? She could have just left her naked. "Strip," Sui muttered. Calm at night, the moonlight shrouded the land. Occasionally, the roars of beasts could be heard in the distance. Chi-La with the Origin Supreme technique, the last bit of the seal was broken. Sui's eyes moved slightly and he immediately struggled to get up. SSSSS. Half an hour later, in a mountain range, Sui appeared in a natural cave on an inconspicuous mountain and called out the mysterious space. Fortunately, all of the elixirs he had on him were stored in the mysterious space. After taking a healing elixir, Sui sat cross-legged and began to refine the elixir. In the mysterious space, several savage beasts were still cultivating. Light flickered. Time passed slowly. Late at night, no one saw that on a mountain beside Sui, a crack suddenly appeared on the ground. Without a sound, a wisp of green-red light was emitted. The light flickered. Then, a gentle green and red light jumped out from the crack in the ground. The light was the size of a baby. Looking at it carefully, it was actually a big radish. Strictly speaking, it wasn't a radish. It was just too similar to a radish. It was shaped like a radish. The roots were covered with dense thin whiskers, which were also suffused with a green and red color. There were a few green leaves on the top of its head. They were the size of a palm and were crystal clear. Such a radish appeared on the mountain where Sui was recuperating. Light flickered on its body. It seemed to reveal two eyes which were looking around cautiously. All of this was extremely strange. At this moment, Sui, who was recuperating in the mysterious space in the cave, would jump up in shock if he saw a walking radish walking on the mountain beside him. The radish appeared and looked at the bright moon in the sky. The green leaves on the top of its head stretched out and absorbed the moonlight. It seemed to be absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. After a while, light flickered in the radish's eyes, as if it was waiting for something. Not long after, a black cloud suddenly appeared in the void in front of it. The black cloud spread out and quietly covered the bright moon, causing the earth to sink into darkness. When the black cloud appeared, The radish's eyes were filled with seriousness and fear. Boom! Suddenly, the void trembled for no reason. Most new OX chapter $supra asterisk fat. This moment, all of the savage beasts in the surrounding mountains seemed to have sensed something. All of a sudden, the entire place fell silent. The atmosphere between the heavens and the earth became incomparably oppressive at this moment. Swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, in several places in the great barbaric Demon Canyon, there were several figures looking at the void at the same time. High up in the sky, the black cloud became thicker and thicker. It was piling up in a certain place. What's going on? Such a strong pressure. Under the shocking pressure, more and more eyes were looking at the void. That invisible and shocking pressure spread out, causing people's souls to tremble uncontrollably. Swoosh, swoosh. Everyone's eyes involuntarily looked at the void. At this moment, thick black clouds gathered in the void, and a huge thundercloud appeared out of nowhere. Sizzle! The thundercloud surged and lightning flashed, illuminating the dark world. The entire sky was split apart, and the dazzling thundercloud occupied it. The thundercloud was different from ordinary thunderclouds. There was a strong lightning pressure spreading out from it. In an instant, the pressure caused the hearts of all the people and savage beasts in the area to palpitate. Their hair stood on end and a chill rose in their hearts. Thundercloud, why are there thunderclouds? What's going on? Within the great barbarian Demon Canyon, many people's gazes were trembling because of the sudden appearance of the thundercloud. Many gazes looked at the void, and many figures started to tremble. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.